How's it going, everybody? This man tomorrow here. Hit the one in the chat if you can be able to hear me. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go over this destiny thing with people in the manosphere, so that way you can understand that the easiest way to tell if people have, or where people are is if they understand the actual issues and their ability to go to other platforms and defend themselves publicly. For me, I don't think these people are really cut out for the mainstream. Like we really heard everything about mainstream. But the people who want to represent our actual movement that was here for concentrating on men's issues and navigating the actual environment has turned into a place where failed men come through and make their personal issues that they have with women the actual forefront of the actual manosphere. And because there's so many people who really don't have their act together, they kind of hijack the actual movement to actually make it something that it kind of isn't. So when people are talking about the manosphere, they're talking about these full-time YouTubers who made a point to live off of these actual issues within the environment itself, rather than providing an actual solution to these actual problems. So without further ado, welcome my guest, Mike V. Everybody know who Mike V is. Black Brain Trust, that's where we're at. But you have to be able to listen to these things live and understand them live, because no one has done really an analysis real time of the actual things that was presented during this actual interaction. But that's what we're doing here. We're not doing this for clout chase purposes. We're just showing you that people who don't have an answer to any type of questions should not be trying to represent people in any other environment. So without any further ado, Mike B, are you ready?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Yeah. So which one you want to go through first? Just make sure you share it so that way I can be able to see it, and we'll start with that.
Your audio's a little bit choppy.
God damn. Mine's?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. How about now? Better?
We can manage it. It's just really choppy.
Okay.
Let me share
All
my
right, share your
screen.
screen.
Yeah, let me share my screen real quick.
To deal with that market. And I think that you're essentially gaslighting men out of reaching better clarity of what's going on in the market, where the game is different, the market is different, but a lot of the nature is still the same. And in my experience and experience of a lot of men, regardless of all this new age feminist stuff that's going on, women still want to look up to that man and follow the lead of the man. That's what I'm saying here. But I know you said you had to go,
Bring
but
me up, man. What is you waiting
here
for?
you go. You right here. I got you.
Don't let this dude run away. Soon as you said my name, he talking about he gotta go. Nah, don't go nowhere.
Okay.
Don't go nowhere. Stay your ass right here. First of all, Bernard, I don't know what you doing up here, bruh. To go back to what you said, men rarely act like children. Women almost always act like children. Men built this world and continue to maintain this world. If women took a day off today, if all women took a day off today, no one would give a shit. If all men took a day off today, the world would come to a crash and halt. What are you talking about, dude?
Are you screaming at me or him?
I'm screaming at you.
Okay, well, firstly, you came here acting like a child, saying men don't act like children. So I think that's very funny.
First of all, number one, hey, hold on.
Oh, I'm not able to respond to your whole statement. You're going to sit here and scream the whole time. Okay, if that's what you want to do, go for it.
First of all,
I have an 11-year-old kid, so I'm used to somebody just screaming the whole time. Go for it.
Hold on. What do you got? First of all, dude, you're acting like a woman. Don't tell me how to talk. Gotcha. Okay, just because a man raises his voice Does not mean he's acting like a child. Do not do that shaming tactic crap with me.
I'm just making an observation. You can scream and whine all you want. That's fine. I'm all here for your crying, dude. I'm here for your emotional outlet, okay? I'll play the woman part, and you can treat me like your mom, if that's what you want to do, dude.
Address what I'm saying.
Chill then I'm acting like a woman? What do you want me to say? How am I supposed to address that?
Chill with the shaming tactics. Be a grown man and address my talking points.
Okay, I didn't hear any yet. What were your talking points? That if all men took the day off, the world would fall apart, and if women took the day off.
Would you like me to repeat it?
For a lot of the men that succeed, they can only do so because women are holding it down at home, right? If these guys bullshit, who the fuck is taking care of the kids when men are out working?
There are plenty of successful multimillionaire men that do not have children and are not in relationships. Try again.
Okay, so do you think that the goal of man shouldn't be to have children?
The goal of men is to continue to make sure this world spins. Some men may choose to have children, others don't. Multimillionaire men can have surrogate women and have people watch their kids or send their kids to freaking boarding school. Try again.
Okay, I guess in the world where men are buying surrogate women and are sending their children to boarding school at age 0, and I suppose those are all being worked at by men as well.
Buying women,
bro. I don't know what you want me to say.
They're not buying women. They're not buying women. What are you talking about? Buying women.
What do you mean getting surrogate women and sending their children to boarding school?
Don't women get surrogate women?
Tell me what you mean when you say surrogate women. What are you talking about? Just somebody to watch it like a babysitter? Or are you talking about like a surrogate, like have a child for me?
What I am talking about, because you seem to have difficulty understanding. If a man is a multimillionaire and he doesn't want to deal with the issues of being in a relationship and he decides he wants to have children, he can get a surrogate mother to have a child for him, or he can adopt a kid, but he still has the ability to have someone watch that kid for him without being in a relationship.
Okay, I'm going to repeat this because you're having trouble, probably because you're really emotional, understanding my question. So I'll ask one more time. What do you mean by surrogate woman? What do you mean by surrogate woman?
You're deflecting.
I'm not. I just asked you a question. You just deflected again.
You don't know the definition
You're doing
of surrogate mother? You don't know the definition?
All right, real quick, y'all, real quick.
Not real quick. You don't know the definition of a surrogate mother? Come on.
I'm trying to figure out how you're using it.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
He made a simple point. You're saying that men need women, and he was just pointing out that there is a way for men to ultimately raise a kid without a woman.
Yeah, I'm just curious. When he says surrogate, is he just saying? Is he just saying
that men can raise kids without women? You can.
Well, no, but I mean, you're gonna have to get a babysitter or something, right?
I mean, yes.
Are those babysitters usually men or women?
It could be either or.
Okay, so
aren't you the new age guy that thinks everything is freaking, gender neutral and equal? Why couldn't it be a guy?
I haven't said anything about everything being gender neutral and equal, but that's cute if you think that. I'm just trying to figure out,
my bad. I'm making an assumption. You're the one with the blue hair.
There are so many things I could say right now, but it would power your shit. Like, I don't want to hear you crying about, oh, fuck. I can't do it. Because the problem is if I say shit to you about the way that you look, I'm going to get fucking canceled by your entire fucking crowd. So I'm just going to peace. It's fun. Have fun.
Yep.
Is this a rage quit? Is the Destiny?
Hold on, wait,
Destiny. Shit to this guy, dude. It's like beating up a fucking 9-year-old. This is like arguing with a retarded child. What the fuck am I supposed to say? This is a bait. This is a bait for me, right? I'm rolling around in the mud with a pig. I'm gonna walk out dirty. This guy's gonna go home the same as he always has been. So it's been fun.
Come on,
Destiny. Real quick. Hold on. Hey, Destiny, let me ask you one more question. Did you know about Angry Man before today?
No, I had no idea who this guy is.
Okay, because it seems like when I mentioned him that you start trying to leave. So I was thinking it maybe was some history.
No, I've got a thing scheduled in about an hour and a half. There's another person I was supposed to talk to, so I didn't want to completely cut that out because I randomly jumped on your show. That person messaged me about 20 minutes ago. If you want to set up another combo, I'll be streaming tomorrow, same fucking time. We can talk for as long as you want. We can scream at each other. Right. I can help you work through your emotions and everything.
You talk to Angry Man tomorrow.
Yeah, if you want to. I start at 12 EST, and I'll be streaming for 4 hours.
All right, I want to get that one.
We can work through his femininity. He seems like he's got a lot of things he wants to talk about.
Hold on.
First
of
all,
get that set up. Wait a minute. Let's get it set up.
I'm not emotional. You know that, sir. Stop.
Let's get it set up. Let's not talk past the date. Okay, Destiny, you're gonna be on 12 p.m. 12 what a.m.
We can talk 1 p.m. tomorrow EST if you want. I'll be free for 3 hours.
1 p.m. tomorrow EST.
Yeah.
And so if Angry Man go live and he and y'all come merge it in together, and that's a date. Y'all can go at it tomorrow. That fair?
Yeah.
You with that, Destiny? You with that, AM?
It is what it is.
All right. Well, we got a date for tomorrow. I didn't want it to seem like you just ran because Angry Man showed up. I think it's only right you set up a date for tomorrow, so it don't look like you ran.
I'm doing this out of the charity of my good heart. I don't have an obligation to talk anyway.
I know.
But
I
I'll talk to him. That sounds good. Yeah.
I understand that. I understand that.
Get the fuck out of here.
No,
It's all right. I'm all about giving back to communities and everything. So I'm here to do charity just for you, Angry Man. That's what I'm here for. Okay. That's what I'm here, dude.
All right, good, a lot of that racist liberal came out right there. All right, anyway. All right.
No, that was the blue hair liberal. Have fun. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, AM. So you was the only one I was letting up.
Nigga ran to point blank. Period. As soon as you mentioned my name, see, cats be trying to act like they don't know who I am. As soon as he mentioned my name, he's ready to bounce. And then when I got up here and started getting in his ass, instead of him addressing my talking points, he's deflecting and trying to use shaming tactics, like pure goofiness.
Hey, Mike, stop it right here. Stop it right here. What was that? What just happened there? What just happened there? like, dude, this is what happens when you don't understand panel moderation. This is crazy. What just happened? A guy that you don't know screaming at you. You get to talk about his hair, but he can't get to call you a whole 90s shine to your face because it'll be racist as shit. And you keep trying to just egg this dude on. You have things that you want to talk about that's not even part of the subject matter. What you do is you drag this dude out of this environment and you drag him to an environment to where it's just one-on-one, and you can easily destroy these dudes. It's easy to destroy these dudes. The only thing you have to do is bring them on outside of the environment of a rah-rah crowd, and you'll see just how ill-equipped they are to handle any level of conversation, because everything is based on male-female dynamics that they may or may not be having going on inside their household. But it's easy to defeat these dudes. They cannot resist the attention, even if they get embarrassed the hell out of. They cannot resist the attention. I'm like, look, if you want to destroy these dudes, just invite them on for a conversation. Hey, Rashad Richie does it all the time. He invites all conservatives all the time, and he has a 100% knockout ratio. Because the moment they start falling into this trolling and all this type of amateurish left-wing bashing type of nonsense, they lose the actual argument. Because the conversation isn't meant to go beyond their actual limitation. It's crazy. Like, I don't know how. And the problem is when they think manosphere, they think dudes like this. They think dudes like this. They don't think about the people who are out here doing the actual thing. This guy has to live off of YouTube. He has to live off these circumstances. He cannot possibly make sure that these things work. He's not working towards that. Man, I just like, and this is what happens when you don't have panel moderation. You wouldn't just walk up to somebody in person on stage and just start treating somebody like that. Would you?
No, not in person. Not in person. You wouldn't be able to get away with that.
Okay, so did he even know that Angry Man was coming up there with him?
No.
So Bernard Riley just allowed this dude to get jumped for no reason. Because, I mean, Bernard Riley is a whole nother situation to itself that I'm not even going to discuss ever. But at the end of the day, if you don't discuss policies, this is what you have time for. You have all the time in the world for stuff like this. There is no way you can be mainstream and all this kind of stuff and go on TV. Imagine if this was, name anybody, Lawrence O'Donnell. And he came online and tried to man his way through whatever it was that he was trying to say. Yeah, bro. Like you get canceled like everybody else. It's stupid as hell. Like this can't be the only reason why you're on the planet to talk about how the world can't work without men, and you're not even doing the work of men. You're actually doing the work of women by sitting there and talking a whole bunch of shit and being taken care of by a broken environment. Unbelievable. So you want to go to the actual part to where he brought Angeran onto his show, so that way you can be able to hear this clearly. What happens when you bring a Bravo Alpha November outside of his normal environment and put him into an environment where he has to answer questions? Remember, these people don't have any substance. The only thing you have to do is invite them on and talk about substantive issues and see how the conversation boomerangs back to women, because that's the only discussion that the talking points that they have. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's let it rip.
Studies and other things like that, arbitrary stuff that really doesn't.
It's not the case. We're talking about graduation rates right now. If the standards were lowered, and that's what was allowing women to graduate more, then we would see men graduating at the same rates as they were before, but they aren't, right? Especially over the coronavirus period, a lot of men were expected to stay home and work, whereas women didn't have those same burdens placed on them. Also, women have a bit more available to them in the world of like affirmative action and kind of like assistance for women to go to school. You are seeing women, not just because the standards are lowered, but because society's pushing them in a direction. They are doing better in school, like full stop.
Well,
They just are.
here's the reality about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not that difficult to do better in school when you're taking gender studies or getting a degree in basket weaving. Or is that across the board in STEM, or is that across the board in gender studies and other things like that? Arbitrary stuff that really doesn't amount to anything. First of all, you have to realize that when it comes to education,
Hey, Mike, stop right here for a second.
It's down across.
Okay, so what you're going to recognize here is that the normal stuff that he talks about online doesn't really work in the real world whenever you're having a conversation with an actual human being who actually knows about the history and can cite sources. I cannot stress that enough. These manosphere talking points only work around manosphere people. The moment you get out of this space and into the real world and talk to people who are not part of the manosphere, you're going to sound crazy. You are. So we're playing this part of the conversation to let you know how ill-equipped this person is to actually represent most of the people who are part of the manosphere who actually want progress itself. So, you ready?
Yeah,
keep going.
Anyway, because like society now that is very hostile towards men, so there are a lot of different things that men don't want to be a part of anymore. They don't want to be a part of college, the college experience anymore, simply for the fact that it's a hostile environment for them. Everything is about toxic masculinity and all of this crap. And let's be honest, the colleges are no longer institutions of higher learning. They've now become institutions of indoctrination with gender studies and all of this other crap that most men can't really identify with, especially if they're red-blooded American males. They find this whole thing that's going on right now extremely hostile. And when you talk about women graduating, right? I don't know. I can't speak to the whole spectrum of women, but I do know when it comes to the Black community, yes, Black women are the most enrolled. And yes, they do graduate, but they usually graduate with some ridiculous degree that they don't even use. Not to mention the fact.
Stop right here, Mike. Stop right here. Okay, so you have to understand that if you actually got your stuff together as a man, these are not things that you're even concentrating on right now. But he has to gaslight his poorly educated audience on rah-rah, man type stuff. Like, listen, there are women that you can choose from that are not these things. But if your only group of women that you want to choose from are the ones who have all this education and who don't act right, you are going to consistently keep focusing on these women. Like, bro, listen, most people who got their stuff together aren't even concerned about women. They're not. Like, I don't understand, why are we spending all this time on useless degrees? To me, I wouldn't even fund the actual useless degrees. And I wouldn't be with the people who had the useless degrees. They act like these people are not avoidable, Mike. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're going to be representing the space, that most of these people, they want to be part of the space when there are no eyeballs on them. But then they don't want to be a part of the space when the criticism comes down. You cannot tell me that all this work that has been done within this space called the manosphere can be summed up with this guy online talking about these issues with a person that he don't know. Imagine if he was interviewed by Time magazine or any other magazine, and these are the things that are coming out of his mouth. Everybody associated with the manosphere would be canceled immediately because they're going to think, well, we're a bunch of these guys right here. But that's not the case. If you're a productive guy, you're not worried about what women are doing. You're not worried about what education that they're seeking or receiving. The only way that you're worried about these type of things is if you don't have any choice but to deal with those type of women. That's when you have to actually be firmly concerned about what the women that you claim that you don't want are doing. It's crazy, but keep going, man.
Entrepreneurs, 96% of their freaking businesses fail. So no, they're not outpacing men. They just live in a society that has stacked the deck against men and catered to them. Every single program that comes out now is for women.
Okay, so I hear this argument is brought up a lot that women just get degrees in like basket weaving and gender studies. Do you sincerely believe that that's the majority types of degrees that women are getting, or I'm just trying to figure out before I go down that road?
So you believe most women, when they enroll in college, they go into STEM?
I didn't say STEM, but you know that there's more than just STEM and basket weaving, right?
Okay, well, my thing is, and I've stated this numerous times on my show, I think if you're not going into the STEM field, college is a waste of time and waste of money.
Okay, that's fine if that's your opinion, but one, that's not true, and two, there are other purposes to college, right? You can make money outside of STEM.
We can say that it's not. First of all, if you look at the way college is set up now, and you look at the amount of student loan debt that you're going to get into after 4 years at a university.
Stop right here, Mike. Stop right here. Like, bro, listen. If you're not going to school, how are you worried about student loan debt, bro? Like, how are you just concerned about issues that are not affecting you? Like, how are you just concerned about student loan debt when you ain't in school, dude? Dude, if you make all of your money without school, how are you concerned about all these issues? How is this possible?
It doesn't make any sense to even bring that up. It's a red herring, because what Destiny is asking is, do you believe that that's the only thing that they're going to school for? Well, if you're not going to school for STEM, then what, what's the purpose of going to college? Well, Destiny says in response, well, there's more than one reason to go to school outside of STEM. Well, everybody accrues student loan debt. What does that have to do with anything? It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's just another straw man argument to make, in as a way to zigzag away from the actual conversation itself.
Yeah, and it's like, he should have asked them, okay, what is your background? How did you get to be who you are? Did you go to school for this? The answer is no. You didn't go to school to be who you are. Why are we focused on other women's educational choices right now? Like, what does that have to do with your own progress as a person?
Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
Okay, One, you're assuming that there's so many bad assumptions here. I'm sorry. One, when you say waste of time, what you really mean is that the only thing you should be looking for, the only thing college should do is prepare you for a job. That's the only purpose of college.
Yes.
Okay, that's not true, right? There are important fields of education that we would want people to do more research in. It's important to have people such as I don't know, having historians.
Stop right here.
Writers.
Stop right here.
Women get jobs.
Mike, stop right here. Okay, you have to understand the actual David Monroe way of arguing with IBM. When you're dealing with IBM, they don't understand how anything works. They disagree with your premise outset. And then they turn around and have you explain to them how the world works. And then after you explain to them how the world works, they're still going to disagree with you anyway. They're going to say they partially agree with you, but steal your points that you just gave them because they didn't come to the conversation with anything. And then they're going to repeat back partially to you everything that you just told them. This happens over and over and over again. When people come to the conversation with nothing, this is what happens. It's like he doesn't understand. He's out of his depth. What the guy is talking about is completely true, but you would have to understand how the college system works and how all the things that are being discussed in that system actually works before you actually have to have an opinion. His opinion is no STEM, no college. Not how college works. No one has ever said that that's how college works. But that's his level of understanding, and now he has to have college explained to him, even though he doesn't understand how college works, even though he claimed to have won. Go ahead, Mike.
Teachers are arguably some of the most important people in society.
Historians, the vast majority of the history that they teach every single decade, we find out it's a lot of the shit is freaking lies. Are you serious right now?
What do you mean?
Historians?
What do you mean by find out their lies? Like from other YouTubers, or what do you mean?
No, by other people who go and do the research. It's
historians, right?
We find out this not formally trained historians. Not formally trained.
Can you give me, okay, I never do this in debates, and if you don't have the ability to do this, you don't have one off the top of your head, that's totally fine. I'm not trying to push you on like gotchas for anything, but like, can you give me like an example of like, this is something that historians thought was one way, and then like an amateur investigator completely overruled and figured out that all the historians were wrong?
Okay, well, let's start with say ancient Egypt. There were a bunch of historians that made a bunch of claims about the Egyptians, and a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ben Yakinen actually went to Egypt and actually found out that a lot of the things they were saying were not true. That's one example.
What is this in relation? What was like a claim that wasn't true? Wait, hold on. Is this like, this isn't like the Yakubian shit, is it? Is this something different, or
we're gonna start? Let's not go off into that. The main point that I'm trying to make is that yes,
he doesn't know what he's talking about, and it's like you're talking to a white dude about pro-black shit. They don't give a fuck about what you're talking about, dude. They don't care. Like, this dude is like, what planet are we on? Your only example, like, listen, if you're going to show up for a debate, it's best that you have examples in the real world that you can bring up, that people can actually look up and verify. You just can't go off the dome with pro-black shit in front of white people. They don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. They don't know. They have no idea. They're like, what is this guy talking about? Like, yeah, the Dr. Ben went over the, yeah, that's probably and maybe true. But if you're trying to discount all of education because of this guy in Egypt, that's not a good thing to try to do. It's not. It's God damn. Like, bro, like, you can't sit here and try to sum up all education is useless because of Egypt. What? What?
People who go to college, they want to become artists. I went to school for art, right? You have people that go to college, become artists. You have people that go to college, become historians, and all of that's cool. But the point that I'm trying to make is when we're talking about the importance of our society and the structure, I'm talking about the bare bones structure of it functioning. We need engineers, we need scientists, we need people in the STEM field. So if we're talking about the importance of women, if we're talking from your perspective that women are outpacing men, I'm going to be looking at that field. I'm not going to be looking at art and history and stuff like that.
I don't want a society that just has the bare bones. That sounds miserable. We need things like art. This is where we spend like 95% of our time.
And I totally agree with that. I'm an artist. I totally agree with
do
that.
You? Do you agree with that? Because it doesn't sound like you do.
Outpacing men. In order for women to outpace men, they would have to be outperforming them in the bare bones of our society, the things that make the structure run. That's the point that I was making yesterday.
Okay. I don't even know if we disagree. This might just be a semantics thing. Earlier, it sounded like you agreed with me that society has structured itself around accelerating women, and it seems to be doing a good job at that, and a lot of men are being left behind. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that?
It is accelerating women, but in a very, in a disproportionate way, and in a very sneaky, underhanded way. It's not like, okay, let's try this, right? Try this, because
Mike, stop right here. Stop right here. Panther God just picked up on it. He's arguing against his own argument. He doesn't agree with this guy. So now he was on one side of the argument. He made a statement. He's cornered. So now he's going to turn around and argue against his argument as if he actually agrees with Destiny. Like, this is what I'm saying. They don't know how anything works. They wait for things to be explained to them. They say they agree with you, and now they just take all their points away from you. And it's like, you have to come up to an actual debate with your own argument. Like, once you say, I agree with you in an actual debate, the debate's kind of over with.
Right. There's no opposition.
Yeah, and it's like, there's controlled opposition, and then there's people that shouldn't even be there. Because he's trying to like decipher where this guy's at, and it's a headache to actually decipher where this guy's at because he's on both sides of the argument, because he just can't take a L and just say, I just don't know what I'm talking about here. Could you educate me? Mm-hmm. That's a very simple sentence. I do not know what I'm talking about. I do not know the history. I am not interested in the history. Could you tell me what it is that you think? And I tell you what it is that I think. Because see, they don't think anything. They're just like, okay, whatever the left's for, I'm against. But it's like, a lot of the stuff that you think that you're against, you're actually for. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. All right, well, go ahead, man.
I think your perception of Red Pill or the manosphere is that just everybody over here just hates women, blah, 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 blah. I don't have an issue with women competing if they're actually competing. In other words, if the playing field is level. But what we have going on today is not a level playing field. We have a rigged game. We, on the one hand, we have people saying, okay, well, women are equal to men. Women are fully capable of doing what men do. You've even said a second ago that women, you kind of implied that women were smarter than men.
I did. So hold on, let me be real quick. What I said was their biology might be better suited to classrooms than men.
It's better suited to following. That's
I don't know if I know. Following is a term. Let's say. Hold on. Wait.
Mike, stop right here. Stop right here. He's still set up in this actual idea: men lead, women follow. And it's like, you can't bring that to a conversation outside of the manosphere, because there's a lot of things that you're going to say that's going to seem insane to people, and they have to stop the conversation to get the definitions right. Because when you spend too much time on one side of the spectrum without having any common sense being part of the conversation, now we have to understand what leading and following is. Because everything is drawing out the conversation and drawing out the conversation. And this is a straw man. And that is a straw man. And this is a straw man. And it's like, to him, you should just be on code and just think that he did a good job. Or you could just look at this conversation like, this stuff is absolutely frustrating to actually go through this. Go ahead.
I just want to be clear with our terms, okay? Here's fact number one. Most men are followers. Most men are not leaders, okay? So most people in general are followers. When I say that women are better suited towards learning, it seems to be the case that male bodies are just more in general suited towards activity. They want to be outside, they want to be doing things, they want to be building things. This is why all of our little boys are getting diagnosed with ADHD, because sitting inside of a classroom all day with your head staring at a textbook and doing notes is agonizing to a lot of young men. That's just something that we're not built for as well. Whereas women don't mind. They are better at like being calm, at being chill, at being more cerebral, taking notes, studying and doing that. That just seems to be a thing that their biology seems to be better suited for. I'm not saying one is a follower and one is a leader or one is smarter or one is dumber. I'm just saying in the ways that we are, women seem better suited to the classroom environments. That's what I'm saying.
First of all, we can't look. I'm not a leftist, so I'm not ultra sensitive when it comes to terminology.
Yes, yes, he's not a leftist. Thank you.
What side is he on?
Yeah. So what side are you on? Like you're not on the right. You're not a January 6er. You're not organizing for the Republican Party, but you're not a leftist. Oh, I'm not. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, I don't get sensitive about definitions. He had to tell you what the definition of what you was talking about, and now he's a leftist because he had to explain to you. Like, he has to shoulder both sides of the argument. Like, this is how you get tired out by these people, because he understands his side of the argument, but he has to flesh out his side of the argument while talking about his side of the argument in the same conversation. And that is a very frustrating thing to do when you understand a person's points, but you have to make their points for them because they don't understand what they're talking about. But they want to argue with you about what you're talking about. It's insane. But go ahead.
Very important that have leaders and have followers. Okay. Now, I will agree that the boys do not like sitting in a classroom all day. It's frustrating to them. But men are
Whose point was that? Whose point was that? Whose point was that? That was not your point. You was just told that point by Destiny. You didn't make this point from the outset. This is his points that's being parroted back to him as if he did not say that, because he doesn't know how to make an argument. What he does is he listens to the information and then he parrots back the information to the person that just made the point. I keep saying this dude is trying to David Monroe his way through the actual conversation, and it's infuriating.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because men are not natural followers. Even if you have structures where men are following, why do you think in the military they have to have a boot camp? Because those men have
You're not in the military. Like, bro, the only thing you did was shit on military members in the manosphere. What are you talking about? Like, everything is trying to double back to other people who are way more successful than him. It's like, dude, listen, you don't believe in any of this shit. You don't believe in any of it. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, dude, these are not his arguments. He's only making a counter argument because he don't have a point. Like, he shut him up with his own logic, and now he has to kind of, well, I kind of understand your point of view. I kind of agree. Like in the military, bro, you don't know shit about people in the military. Like,
Maybe he knows about Old Navy.
Yeah, or the Salvation Army. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe some Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
basically conditioned to follow properly because they are naturally rebellious. There's a reason why when girls are in school, they do better in school, because the way that structure is, they're given instructions and we understand what the school system is. The school system was designed around the Prussian school system, which basically was created for the purpose of creating factory workers, created for the purpose of creating better soldiers, okay? People that are going to follow suit. That's exactly what the educational system is here in America, all right? So it's
just arguing against his own point.
To say that women are followers. That's not an insult. It's just a reality. men are not as prone to follow as women are.
I'm just saying that most people are followers. We have to agree on that. Work only works if you have one manager and many employees. The army only works if you've got one general and many soldiers. A country only works if you've got one president and many constituents. Most people are followers. Society only works. That's why there's the whole phrase, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. You have to have followers in society, right? So,
that's true.
And then even when we look at classrooms where we're saying like, oh, like women are better to following, and that's why they do better in classrooms. Who's teaching? Who's leading the classrooms? It's women. Isn't it like 95% of teachers are women?
But here's the thing. You said something that gave validity to my point. Where do you think the
That's not what he said.
Chiefs and not enough Indians comes from? The reason
he's doing it again. He's doing it again. He's doing it again. Like, dude, you got to bring your own arguments to the conversation. You can't just take everybody's point that is recently being spoke to you and parrot it back to them as if you agree with them or they are your point. You can't David Monroe your way through the conversation. And he keeps doing it over and over and over again. And it's frustrating as hell.
Group of men following another man, there's always a subset of men. So no, they're not naturally followers. Men will follow until they're in a position to take over. The reason why most men follow is not because they're just like, well, I'm gonna, go with the flow. They follow because they don't have the power to take over who's ever in the position above them. That's the reason why men do that.
I don't know how to move from here. I've had a lot of experience managing a lot of people across a diverse amount of, whether it's video games, whether it's business, whether it's organizing podcasts, whether it's just watching people in society. Like, most people gravitate towards following. Most men don't want the responsibility of being in charge of other people. Most men don't want the responsibility of taking on the negatives of an outcome of a decision that involves other people. That's just, being in a leadership role is really difficult.
But they want the glory.
Yeah, but that's not being a leader. That doesn't count. Everybody wants to. That doesn't count.
But no, that's where that comes from. In order for you to get the accolades, the glory, to get the ego boost, every dude, even if they admit it or not, has had a desire to be that guy, to be the head guy.
Sure, everybody can have a desire. That's fine. If you want to say something like men have a desire to be leaders, that's fine. I would agree with you there. But men are not naturally leaders. Leadership is a skill that's crafted over time. Most people are not suited for it, and just wanting the glory of being a leader does not make you somebody that is a leader.
You're talking about you. Okay, so we're getting into, look. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that every man that spawns has the ability to be freaking Julius Caesar. That's not what I'm saying.
That's not even what I'm saying. All right.
Well, you're saying
strong man.
I'm assuming that you're saying that men naturally have the ability to be great leaders, right?
All I'm saying is, broadly speaking, men and women have way more in common than they do separately from each other. And when people
totally disagree with that.
I'm sure you do. When people try to draw these hardcore separations out of, like, men are leaders, women are followers, like these broad generalizations, they end up missing like most of the story, and they send people down really mind-fucked paths that don't accurately describe the world, and then it leaves them ill-suited to succeed in the world. That's my problem.
Well, I mean, look, in a perfect world, that might actually be a reality. And I believe that we can circumvent.
In a perfect world, I would agree with your statement, but I don't bring anything to the conversation, sir. What's happening, sir? What's happening here, Mike? What's happening? He knew he was going to go online and talk to this guy about a specific subject. Dude, at least have your talking points in order before you take your ass up there and try to yada yada your way through this whole, like, dude, you can't yada yada a debate, man. You can't yada yada a debate. You can't do that. And this shit's gonna go on for a long time.
With what, less than 100 years of a certain ideology? Like, really? So the past, so the entire civilization has gotten it wrong up until 50 years ago. Now all of a sudden, the new age way of thinking is the way we're supposed to do things.
I don't know when you say like gotten it wrong. I mean, like, if you want to talk about like do you believe like in the nuclear family?
Yes.
Like, that's a really new concept. Hundreds of thousands of years of bioevolution is us living like together as like groups of people, like hunting for berries and like chasing animals down. Like, that's what hundreds of thousands of years of bioevolution have gotten us.
But that's what built up to it. That's what built up to it.
Okay, well then fine. Then I could just use your same argument and say, well, that's building up to this then.
That's a good point. But the problem with that is...
No, that's not your point.
That's not it. Not your point. Not yours. It's like, I agree with you. That's a good point. That's a good point you made there. It's like, you don't know what's happening here. It's kind of like, I'm on the big platform. I'm going to talk. You say something, I'm going to agree. What's happening here?
You can't really come from that position, because the way we are starting to do things now is totally the freaking opposite. And are we getting the results that we got with the previous things?
Well,
are we getting good results now?
With respect to what?
As far as the interaction between men and women, the way I see it, when I look around at the interaction between men and women, there's something.
Okay, stop right here, Mike. Mike, stop right here. Okay, we're not talking about the interaction between men and women. There is no way you can turn this whole interaction so far into a remedial conversation between men and women. Like, this is the shit with these manosphere dudes and these red pill motherfuckers. Everything has to be, relationships ain't perfect. I deserve to be fucked up. I deserve to not, she should just pick me. And I'm just a man, so therefore things are hard right now and I have to compete. And I don't want to do that. I just want the woman. Give me the woman first. And then I get everything together. And it's like, bro, listen, you can't remedialize everything toward men and women conversations and then try to have all these other conversations outside of that. It makes you look insane and crazy.
Well, and for
one, they've done studies that have proven not only women, but people in general are the most unhappy that they've ever been in the history of the world. Mm-hmm. Specifically women. They've done numerous studies on this.
You worried about women now?
If this new age way of us doing things, this new progressive way, because I'm a if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of guy. If this new age way of doing things is so freaking awesome, then why is everybody so miserable? Why do the men have such a high depression rate, a high deletion rate? Why are the women going to bed with a glass of wine? Why is everybody so unhappy? When we have
Mike, stop right here. Have you seen what it's like out there, Murray? That's the argument that he's making.
Everything is just so awful.
You're awful, Murray. Inviting me on this show. It's like, bro, you can't leverage the collective unhappiness of people on some certain level to make all your bullshit points. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, how do you fix it? Like, this is why everybody should invite these guys on and just allow them to talk and just ask them a specific question. How do you fix it? And what's your timeline? Or do you intend on building an audience based off of people not having their shit together? That's the only thing you have to do. It's one of the easiest things that you could potentially do is ask simple questions.
Let's skip through it, man, because I I think he ran out of gas right here.
Somebody to take care of families. The only way that a man can go and do that work is if somebody can empower him to do it by staying home and taking care of, say, children, right? That's why I use that example, that even if men are doing the backbone work, they can only do it because of the complementary job that exists where women are allowing it to happen, essentially. It's like having a supervisor for a restaurant. The supervisor isn't cooking and bussing tables in the front, but like the employees wouldn't be able to manage themselves without somebody kind of like working things in the back. I don't mean to say that like women lead men. I'm just saying that the roles complement each other.
Well, here's the thing about that, which I didn't get to say yesterday. Number one, my position is not that men can be totally independent of women.
What? What? That's what your argument was yesterday. If men were to take a day off, the world would starve. That was literally your argument yesterday. Literally your argument. What's happening here?
we can always play the clip again, but let's keep listening.
We're all dependent upon each other. However, when you start looking at the dynamic of men and how men operate, it is extremely plausible that a man can go out here in the world, be successful without the support of a woman. Now, if you look at it as a whole, then yeah, you might be able to make a few points where it's like, oh, well, women do this job or that job, and that job might be beneficial or whatever to what the men are doing. But the job, a lot of those complementary jobs that women are doing, men could do. Okay, you said something about the nuclear family recently, right? Just recently, a new thing, which it is a new thing, right? I would argue that it probably, well, I'm not going to go into that. That being a new thing, another new thing is women being in the workforce. That's fairly new.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. That's one of the ways that I think when I talk about women evolving, I think that's one of the things that's happened.
Okay. So guess what? Up to that point, we still had a functioning society. Up to that point, with the world still spun. Up to that point, we were still able to constantly improve. We were still able to get awesome inventions that have improved the human condition.
But post women entering the workforce, our world is better now in a lot of ways than it was 80 years ago. Yeah.
Our world is better now because it's naturally progressing. But how many impactful inventions have we had since we moved into this age of let's promote women? How many inventions have we had that have been as impactful as the cotton gin, the printing press, the steam engine?
Like the microprocessor and the cell phone and the internet are probably two of the biggest inventions in human history, I would say.
You just got through saying that the cell phone is what's caused the biggest problems. It's making us unhappy.
This can be used in bad ways. I mean, gunpowder was an amazing invention too, but it's mainly used to kill people. Are you asking me what the amazing inventions are? Or are you asking me the ones that make everybody feel better? Right? Cell phones and computer architecture and the internet are like the biggest things that accelerated everything in the world, like probably more than any other invention in human history, more than
nobody's disagreeing with that.
Well, sure, but you asked me like
what
women in the world.
You ask him a question, he give you examples, and you're like, well, no one's disagreeing with that. Keep going, man.
What I said is inventions that we've had now impactful.
Sure, and I would argue that like cell phones and the internet have been some of the most impactful things ever in all of human history.
They've made an impact, but I wouldn't say the most impactful. There's no way that is as impactful, because if you look at the reason why I say
where are you from? Where do you live?
Where do I live?
Yeah.
I live in North Carolina.
Okay, I'm in Miami. I'm talking to you in real time. Both of us can see each other's videos, and there's like 10 or 20,000 people, and there's gonna be hundreds of thousands of more that watch on a YouTube channel later on. That type of reach,
awesome.
but that type of reach and communication, dude, the printing press would never.
I'm not discounting that. That's awesome. But look, here's the thing: when you have the printing press, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the printing press. Cool. Now we can have books that are printed identically. We don't have to worry about people tampering with books, tampering with their information, right? However, the same way that somebody could use the printing press negatively, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that, yes, the way we can communicate is awesome. We can reach a lot of people. But guess what? Any idiot can get up here and fire up a freaking live stream and just give the whole world a bunch of misinformation.
Yeah, especially one dressed like a street dude
really?
from the 90s. No shit. That's the point. The fucking point is no fucking shit. A whole bunch of misinformation. Can you name somebody that you know? Go ahead.
Right or wrong. And then people will sit there and watch it because, like you said earlier, you got 2-year-olds that's got a screen in front of their face, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a 2-year-old, if you wrote a book that was an extremely negative book, like I'm not gonna say that guy's name, but if you wrote a book that was extremely negative, you don't have to worry about. You could put it in front of a 2-year-old. He's not gonna be able to read it like that or even comprehend it. But if somebody's sitting up there on YouTube saying something crazy, and your kid, parents are not paying attention, and the kid is watching it, that's an extremely negative impact. So the reason why, when I'm saying impactful, I mean impactful in a way that is more beneficial to human society than negative. That's what I'm saying.
Do you think that the internet or cell phones have been more negative than positive?
It's part of the reason we're having so many difficulties right now.
Sure. I mean, it might be part of it, but I mean, like the more impactful and powerful the invention, the more good and the more bad it can do, right? Like nuclear research, gives us amazing reactors that can produce a lot of energy relatively cleanly. And it also gives us atomic weapons that could maybe end the entire world. Right. And I feel like cell phones and the internet are similar. I'm 34. You seem like an older guy, maybe, or like around my age, or maybe a little older. But like, I remember growing up, like if you asked somebody a question about anything, you had to pull out the fucking Encyclopedia Britannica to like look up an answer. And now you have like the world's information is at your fingertips. That's an unbelievably crazy advance in technology, right? Like that's the.
But don't you think that I actually like reading my Encyclopedia Britannicas? Don't you think that's a little more organic? Don't you think that it's more valuable when you actually have to search for the knowledge as opposed to someone just Googling it and not knowing for sure if it's accurate?
Maybe it could be, or there might be a lot of people that just don't do the search at all because they either don't have the books. Because if you had one of those sets of Encyclopedia Britannicas, you're paying like a lot of money for a good set of them, and then a lot of people just end up not knowing. I'll give you that. Not to like.
the thing here is this, man.
Like reading my Encyclopedia Britannica, where you can just YouTube any fucking topic and know what the fuck like you really want to go back to a time where we had to search for information? Bro, I don't want to go back to that shit. Nah, man. I'm good.
The thing here is they stopped producing encyclopedia books. They stopped producing.
I think probably like 15, 20 years ago. Has to be.
I mean, I think that was like the final edition.
Yeah. But it's an obsolete concept because you can Google. I mean, you can Google things from a phone. Like, what is having all these pages of books that take up space when you have a device in your hand that gives you all the answers? It's almost like the more access to information that people got, they got angrier with the actual truth that they can have access to right away. They wanted to go back to a time where they didn't know shit. Like, what's going on here, man?
I mean, that's like all the rage about Chat GPT, right? This AI sort of platform that can actually write papers and articles and stuff like that off the cuff when you ask it to do something. And so to say that, I kind of like reading my Encyclopedia Britannica. Who are you fooling? Because you haven't demonstrated any of the knowledge here at all.
Go too deep into this, but just circling back, because you asked me what are really impactful things. There have been really impactful things. We landed on the moon. We've got nuclear weapons. We've got the internet. I agree that these things can be good or bad. I'm just saying that they're impactful. It's like when Time chooses a person of the year. Sometimes it's a really bad person. Sometimes it's a good person. It's people that are impactful. When I look at the now compared to 30 years ago, or maybe 60, 70 years ago, the two big things that have changed for women are college and work, and then reproduction. I think those are the two huge. Those are 95% of what has changed women, and then 5% can be Instagram, social media, Kim Kardashian, whatever. But I think those two things have been huge because it's allowed women to put off having children by using birth control or whatever, and it's allowed women to live independently from men. They don't have to marry somebody to find a job. And when I look at these two things, I don't think these things are going away. We're not getting rid of birth control, and we're not removing women from work or from school. So given that, and at Red Pill, I say this all the time, right? We can't think of an idealized world. We've got to look at the world we live in. If that's the world we live in, then I don't think it's enough to tell men that you should just be a top 1%er and then you're going to get a woman, right? You have to find a way to adapt at the world we're in, where women have changed significantly in the past 30 or 40 years. So that's why I talk from that frame of reference. Women are educated. Women do have birth control. So if you want to get a woman, you've got to work harder for it now. Whereas in the past, all you had to do was just actually work a job and you'd be basically guaranteed a wife.
Well, no, it's not. To me, and this is just my opinion, this is not going to be popular with everybody, but in my opinion, it's not about the men being top 1%ers. It's not even about taking away what women already have. You can't put the cat back in the bag. That's not going to happen. My thing is, it's about carrying on a tradition of what works. I feel like in this day and age, we're just on this mission to dismantle everything that came before us, even if it worked.
I mean, so I don't necessarily disagree with you. So progressives or people really far on the left have a habit of wanting to dismantle everything without asking why it was the way that it was, right? So you'll have people on the left saying things like, oh, gender roles are all fake. But it's okay, well, we've had 10,000 years of them. Are they really that fake? So I agree with you that there are some traditions that, even if we don't carry them on, we at least need to understand. They'll show themselves in society changes. And I think that if you don't want to get left behind by the world, you have to, some things are probably here to stay, some type.
Mike, I don't think I hear anything. Mike, you muted. You muted the whole thing. All right.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you muted. Yeah, I can. You muted it and muted the whole screen. Well, muted the playback. Oh my God. So how much more of that we got to go through?
Well, let's try to go through 15 more minutes of this. So.
Yeah, let's try to.
Yeah.
All right.
Aspects of red pill shit with traditional things. If you're a good guy, you're working a good job, you go to church and you're looking for like a traditional partner, you've got your shit handled. I don't think anybody's wagging their finger at you. In fact, because I've talked to a lot of conservative women, I think conservative women are dying to find men like that. But oftentimes, one of the biggest complaints that I hear, and I know men have the loudest voices online, so you hear about like all the whores and sluts and blah, blah, blah. When I talk to traditional women or conservative women, their complaints are always like, I have no fucking idea where you can ever find a good conservative man. They don't exist. It's a bunch of schizoid young men that sit in their basements, play computer games all day, and fantasize about like having a harem of 50 women they fuck, like the guys on Fresh and Fit tell them to do, right? Like I don't feel like places in the manosphere are producing these factories of like good, positive, solid young men that are like good conservative men, because their engagement with religion is really bad. Look at fucking, I don't want to go down that whole Andrew Tate road if you don't want to, but like Andrew Tate coming out as Islamic after fucking running a casino and a cam business is like the two biggest, most haram things you can do in Islam, right? Or like a lot of these guys saying we need to embrace more like Christian values while telling you to have one-ended open relationships where you're fucking younger and younger women every year. Like, I don't think that these are the centers of society that are going to be creating the like the traditional conservative man of tomorrow. It's just like the new marketing ploy that's being sold. And then all these guys that are falling into this shit, I call it OnlyFans for men, because it's just cutting and destroying their minds, thinking that, or leading them into thinking they're going to be something that they're never going to be. And it's not preparing them for the future in a way that I think a conservative person would be.
Well, you know, I can't really speak for the whole space, but I do know that the vast majority of the guys that watch my show on a regular basis are those traditional type guys. Now, granted, a lot of them are already married. A lot of them are already in relationships. But what they find is when here's the issue that they find. Let me break it down for you. What's happening is when they go out into the world and attempt to live a traditional life, they're constantly being told, these guys are constantly, meeting barriers, trying to live a traditional life. Now, when they go out here, I don't know where these conservative, traditional women that you're talking about are. I don't know where they congregate, but
they sure ain't on your channel.
They have finding these type of women, especially in Black culture. In Black culture, we have an issue where
everybody stop right here. Like, once you start talking about Black culture to a dude with blue fucking hair, that dude is like, what the fuck is this nigga talking about?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, bro, you claim to be a street conservative. Conservative women are talking about how they can't find a conservative man. But you, like, bro, you don't have a conservative platform. You don't have a traditional platform. Unless the traditionalism is magnified, then yeah, you have a traditional magnified platform that attracts maggots to it. But the actual conservative women who access to are being controlled by men, there ain't nobody gonna let you have access to their daughter looking like that, bruh. Talking to stupid stuff that you talking, like, bro, listen, you're gonna have a career field. You're gonna have a legitimate way of taking care of a family and all that stuff. Conservative women access is going to be given to you by their fathers, who are also conservative. Period. Like, I don't understand what's the problem here. It's kind of like they've hijacked conservative to mean just anti-Black woman or I don't like the results of the Black family, therefore I'm a conservative. It's like, bro, listen, these actual results are everywhere with every community across the board. You just can't claim you're conservative because you don't like it. And then date the same pool of women that you claim that you don't want access to. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's an interesting point that Destiny did bring up, that the manosphere does not produce conservatives.
No, it doesn't.
The manosphere doesn't. Yeah, the manosphere does not produce that. So the idea that, and that's why, you and I have, gone over this the last couple of years, but these guys in this space are not conservative.
No.
Like they think
they just don't like the outcomes or the access that they don't have. That's all.
Yeah, and Destiny is pointing this out without being in the space, and he's right about that. So if he can see that from a few minutes that these guys are not really conservative, and the manosphere does not produce conservatives. How can you have a whole space of guys running around talking about how conservative they are? It doesn't make any sense, and you can see, by this dude's posture that none of this is actually real. It's all cosplay. Both of them in cosplay, to be quite honest with you. Both of them in cosplay. So that's the only thing that they can agree on. That's the only thing they can agree on.
There's this culture of promiscuity, there's this culture of, the slut walk and all of those different type of things where every single woman they encounter is part of the sexual revolution. So they're going to be, a little more free sexually. And that's a nice way of putting it. So when these guys are out here actually looking for marriageable women, they're coming up short. They can't find any, because part of the new age way of thinking is that women should be able to do the things that men have traditionally done. And the sad part is whenever you hear that, it's always women taking the most negative things of men and then touting that as empowerment. This is what the guys are encountering on a regular basis, where the women, they want to do the same things. They want to have the same equality as men, which is fine, but they don't want the same accountability, the same responsibility. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if you're willing to be in the right, have you heard of this? I know you've heard the saying. Have you heard of the saying, dress for the job that you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea is life, like you're where you want to be, because that's how you're going to find that place essentially, right? I'll hear people say this, like, I don't know where to find conservative women. And then you ask them, well, where are you looking? And they're like, well, I've tried Tinder. I've gone on Bumble. I've gone on Hinge. And it's like, okay, do you go to a church? Do you have a community of conservative friends? Have you been involved in any political or community organizing? Because especially in the Black community, right? Women are the backbones of all of these things. And if you're looking for conservative people and you're in those areas, you'll find them there. But I feel like people aren't setting themselves up in a conservative lifestyle. If you tell me you're looking for a conservative woman and you're not part of your local church, Jesus, that's the number one place to start, right? Because these are where, off of churches, are where all of your community building activities are going to stem from. Every church has a bulletin board where people are doing things. A lot of churches are involved in community outreach. You can volunteer. You meet a ton of people this way. But people aren't willing to go out and look for it. But I feel like in terms of that type of advice, I never hear red pillars talking about that. It's always the sexual marketplace and high value men are these things you have to do to exploit the dynamics of the evolutionary psychology of women so that you can fuck as many women as possible. And that's why you're going to be 1%. And that's the message I hear over and over and over and over and over again, rather than look up your local archdiocese, start going to your church every Sunday. And when church ends, everybody's chatting with each other because that's what they do. Sometimes the priest or whatever will come out and talk to people, and you just talk to people and you meet friends that way. That's how you organically grow out a group of friends. But I don't hear that advice ever in the manosphere. I never hear that.
I hate the reason why you never hear that in the manosphere is because the biggest hoes usually go to church. They're usually the most promiscuous. They're usually the most trifling. Guys wish it was that easy. They could just go to church and find a good, wholesome girl at church. They can't. That's usually where the worst ones are at.
On average, do you think the women in church are going to be more promiscuous, or women that are at a bar or a club?
Bro, they do the same thing.
So every woman everywhere, there are no more conservative women.
They're twerking in they're twerking in church. When you look at the Black community, the vast majority of the men don't even
it's not in the Black community. He has no idea what you're talking about. Mike, stop right here, man. Stop right here. Bro, you're telling this dude about a whole bunch of shit that he has no idea about. He has no idea what the fuck is going on in the Black church. He's talking from Anchorman is talking from a Pastor Porkchop perspective. That guy is talking from a Catholic perspective. They're not remotely the same thing, man. They're not remotely the same thing. And it's how are you going to get tradition if you're not going to places where traditional people go? And it's you're trying to push off your things that you don't like about the black community and those outcomes to a guy that's not a part of the community. And it's like everything becomes a kind of, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Let me just not say shit until he just gets you talking. And start talking about reality immediately once you start talking.
You know, what's interesting is that Destiny brought up the community outreach and community activism.
Yes. Yep.
Again, we've talked about this in the manosphere. We talked about this in the manosphere, and the notion here is that they can do community activism through StreamYards.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't make this up. That's what, you know, that's kind of like the hallmarks of a manosphere conservative, right? Take these opposition, you know, these sort of wayward opposition stances against what they think the left is, and then stand on that, and then talk about putting women back in traditional into a traditional role without a traditional society to uphold it.
And it's like they had a chance.
Yeah.
All right. Right.
It's this going on in the church. You got the Baptist preacher actually having sex with women in the congregation. You've got women actually twerking in church. You've got the single mothers sitting on the front pew of the church. Like, the church, especially in the black community, I can't speak for the white community, but in the black community, the church is lost, bro. It's done.
Where are all of these single moms coming from?
Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
Well,
if the church is fucked because it's all like single moms and people, like, it seems like it takes two to tango, right? Like, it can't just be all on black women.
Well,
right?
Actually, no, it does. Actually, no, it doesn't take two to tango. And the reason why is because what's going on in the black community is you have a large group of women that are actually having sex with multiple men, having children with multiple men. You actually have twice as many women in the black community have children as the men. Twice as many.
Yeah, but why is that? There are some cities where there's like 3 black women for every 1 man that's not in jail, right? Like, I mean, like, depending on the city that you live in, the availability for some of these black women to even find a guy, the competition is fierce.
There's a number of factors. The competition is very fierce, and there's a number of reasons for that. Number one, we have a small percentage of the population. Black women, last time I checked, outnumbered the men by about 3 or 4 million, something crazy like that. Part of the reason is because of Planned Parenthood. In our community, they actually go to Planned Parenthood to the tune of 367,000 per year. That's 1,000 every day. So that already right there, you have a lower population of just black people in general due to that. In addition to that, there has been an issue with mass incarceration thanks to good old Joe Biden with the 94 crime bill. So you have a lot of brothers that are locked up. So that diminishes the amount of black men as well. In addition to that, you have the cultural problem of black women not being easy to get along with and not being easy to cohabitate with. So you have black men who seek relationships outside of the black race, outside of the country. With the passport bros, with SYSBM, all of those different things.
Wait, hold on a second. Mike, stop right there. Hey, man, look, keep our name out your fucking mouth, man. Keep our name out your fucking mouth. Make sure hey, man, listen. You hold this L all by your damn self, bro. Do not put our movement's name in your mouth. The 94 crime bill was fucking damn near 30 years ago. 40 years ago. I mean, 94. We almost at 2024. And you still worried about the 94 crime bill that did not allow you to sell poison to people in the community. Like, nah, man, those people who got locked up for possession should have been locked up for possession. Everybody else shouldn't be over policed for those people to go to prison. It's like, man, listen, at the end of the day, you're talking to a person who doesn't give a fuck about these stats. You're making all these excuses about how come you just cannot deal with the actual conservative women that are out there. Does this guy look like a conservative person the way he's dressed? No. It's so crazy that we have to go over this. Like, dude, you're explaining this shit to a guy who he's never going to come in contact with any of these issues. And what he's doing is, and it's like all these red pill grifters and manosphere grifters, they're the same thing. They're trying to just weaponize people's lack of choice and try to turn it into something as if they're a grand representative with no solution. Go ahead, Mike.
No, and you know what's interesting is that the '94 crime bill. I don't know. Is that coming from me? Is that coming from you?
Maybe. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. The '94 crime bill. You know, Republicans actually thought the bill was actually weak. It should have went further. I mean, just think about that. So all of this, frustration over the '94 crime bill. You know, Republicans wanted more. Newt Gingrich wanted more. He wanted to put you under the earth. he wanted to put you on another planet. That's what they wanted. They wanted to toss you out in the atmosphere. And so the idea that the '94 crime bill is the reason why we have these issues, I'm not, no, there's no way to evaluate that. You know, it's just no way to statistically evaluate that.
If it wasn't for that meddling '94 crime bill, I would have been a Kingpin. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. Whatever, man. Keep playing it, dude.
Lower amount. Yeah. And what happens is you have sisters, you have black women out here that are more prone to deal with what people call the Pookies and the Ray Rays, and they'll go out here and they'll have kids, they'll have children with 1, 2, maybe even 3 different men. And the reason why that is because it's been incentivized by our government, unfortunately. A lot of these women are doing that in order to supplement their lifestyle with welfare, food stamps, child support, all of those different things. There's a bunch of different factors that weigh into that.
Okay, for whatever we want to blame black women for this, black men are just as culpable. Right? We can complain about the mass incarceration from the '93 crime bill all we want, but Joe Biden doesn't make somebody sell weed. Joe Biden doesn't make somebody carry an unregistered firearm. Joe Biden makes somebody a gangbanger. Like these are things that are still being made, that are being made by black men that fuck over black women in the community. And I think that the cultural problems stem from a lot of the kind of like dysfunction that goes back and forth there. I don't think it's fair to blame black women on everything. Like we can talk about like food stamps and welfare and all that too, but that exists for black people and white people and every other type of person in the United States. But it seems like the black community has like a special problem with it, right?
Well, hold on. No, when we're talking about that, there are things that are very specific. Okay. One book written by what is her name? Elizabeth Hinton, who I think went to Yale. I think she's a professor in African American studies at either Yale or I think Yale, if I'm not mistaken. She wrote From the War on Poverty to the War on Crime. And she pointed out through her research, right after you get the 65 Voters' Rights Act, you actually have a overhauling of the criminal justice system where they started policing urban areas more heavily. This is right after the Industrial Revolution, where you have black people migrating into the urban centers. You have them policing them more heavily. Okay, you actually have what is the equivalent of today billions of dollars funneled into that criminal program. I forgot the name of it, but the purpose was to create probation officers, all of these different things to create a revolving door in the criminal justice system, which has affected the black community significantly. So yeah, it's wrong for any black man to go out here and commit crimes and do things that he doesn't have any business. But it has been historically proven over and over again that black men have been disproportionately targeted by the criminal justice system, especially with particular crimes. When you have certain narcotics that black men get a harsher sentence for, whereas other groups of men might get a slap on the wrist, or even worse, when it comes to unaliving somebody, more often than not, when a white guy goes to jail for unaliving somebody, they end up getting a manslaughter charge as opposed to second degree or whatever degree or whatever. Now, I'm not trying to play the victim Olympics. I'm just stating the facts. Like any of this can be looked up. The research is out there.
Yeah,
so it's not
I agree.
just
it's not just that black men are just like, oh, we're going to go to prison or whatever. Like right around the time that they overhauled the welfare program in 96, not 96, in 65 and 66, you see a rise in single parent households. You see a rise in single parent households. You had a number of things that occurred that affect that. You had the emergence of the prison industrial complex. You're just coming out of the Vietnam War, which a lot of black men lost their lives to that. And now you have this welfare program where if you have a man in the house, one of the stipulations is you don't qualify for those particular things, which is unfortunate because during that time, you had a really serious problem with poverty. So there's a number of factors that play into all of that.
So to preface this, I just will comment as a small jab. I think it's funny that you're citing a woman who is a historian who went to Yale. So historians are important, right?
That is funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, sure. That book.
No, that's not your argument. That's not.
No, it's not your argument. That's his argument. Yeah, but you know, they go to school for things that are not even needed, and I'm gonna turn around and cite the woman that made a history type point. Like, bro, you got, and it's almost like this conversation happened at one time. Like this shit didn't happen years apart. This is the same conversation, apparently. What's going on?
The point that Destiny was making was that black men, that the community does have a problem with black men picking up guns and the crack and everything else. Angry Man's argument, well, no, you have to look at it this way. It started with, what are you talking about?
It's like, dude, listen, they picked up the stuff because they made money with it. They could have picked up a book and went to school or actually went and got a trade. Their trade was drugs. Their trade was criminality. That's the trade that they picked up. That's the trade that they wanted to go to. Why? It was a better pipeline to money. And just like Dita Rail just said, why does that matter? It doesn't matter. You make yourself look insane trying to justify criminal behavior by a specific subsegment of people. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to sell drugs. They didn't have to carry them. And everybody else didn't have to be over-policed because the murder rate was so damn high because of these issues. All of these things could have been solved by people having more principle and leaving this stuff alone. But no, they didn't want to do that.
America on Fire, I think, or the poverty one or whatever, right? But regardless of that, everything you said might be true, but none of that is black women's fault. I just don't think it's fair to blame black women. Like, you can't blame black women for men being incarcerated. When police are policing these areas, black men are the ones that are engaging in the crime. The black women aren't. And I guess it just feels a little shitty to blame black women when at the end of the day, they're the ones that get saddled with all of the community responsibility. They've got to be the backbone of like all these families, of all these churches, of all these things that are like the only way these communities function are on the backs of these like single black women moms. And then say, well, hold on, let me finish. And then for black men to turn around and say, well, we got policed really heavily. And so, you know, we got caught selling drugs, and that's why you guys are all single moms, and that's why your lives are fucked up. But it's black women's fault for everything that happens in the black community. I think there's a lot of fault that could be evenly doled out to both sides, is what I say. I wouldn't blame black women for it.
Okay, here's the thing with this, all right? There is so much nuance in all of that. One, you have a lot of guys that were caught selling drugs that weren't selling drugs. Okay, you have a lot of guys that had issues where they got pulled over and, oh, surprise, there's drugs in the car. Where did that come from? Okay, so that's one thing. There's nuance like that. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. All right. Then on top of that, when you're talking about it's not the black women's fault, black women are willing participants in a system that they actually know for a fact is disproportionately prejudiced to their group of men. Okay. They know this. This is not a game. They go to these offices knowing that they can actually take advantage of this system by, oh, I'm in a relationship with a black man who ain't hitting on nothing and don't want to work and blah, 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 all of those different things. So we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that. Now, to sit here and say, oh, it's all black women's fault. I never said it was all black women's fault, but there is a large percentage of black women who have been incentivized to have children out of wedlock. They've been incentivized to utilize a system that they know benefits them. And they do this on a regular basis.
Okay, just as a quick,
on a regular basis.
Do you really believe that there's like people out there that are like, I want to have a kid so I get welfare?
Yes. I don't believe it. I know it. I don't believe it. I know it.
Why do
I know my culture?
Why do black women do this, but not white women or Indian women or Asian women or other people?
Well, I don't know if white women do this or not. A lot of white women on welfare too. I can't speak for white women because I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that culture, but I know what I grew up around. I've heard the conversations amongst women. I've heard the things that they've said. One of the issues that I point out in my show, which is a real issue during the time where Gen Xers were younger and you had the boomer parents, you had this switch, like you talked about earlier, where the women started going into the workforce more and going to get their education more. Well, one of the things that happened is a lot of the boomer women would use their daughters to help them with the housework. So when mom goes off to work or whatever, her daughter is helping raise the siblings. And what I've had a lot of women tell me, a lot of black women tell me, and I know it's anecdotal, but I've had a lot of women tell me one of their escapes was to have sex, have a child with a guy, because then she can get Section 8 or she can get public housing. And now she can move out and get the hell away from her mama's house where her mother's forcing her to cook, clean, and do all of the housework. And they feel like,
what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? You're trying to make like child abuse like a cultural fucking thing, bro. Like that dude wants to tear all of his blue hair out of his head, man. Look how frustrated that dude is, man. That dude is stressed out listening to this shit, man.
Because the argument is circular, right? Originally, if you go back 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes ago, what Destiny was saying was making a poignant point that the 94 crime bill, you want to use that as an excuse, but who you can't blame that on black women. And so now the segue is, well, black women took welfare. Well, which one is it? Was it the 94 crime bill or was it welfare? Which one is it? Well, see, you're not a part of my community. I'm not a. What does that have to do with anything? The argument doesn't make any sense.
And it's like, look, man, no woman wants to have you speak for them because you're making them all look like a bunch of goddamn fools. And it's like, that's the problem with this issue. It's like, you cannot have these dudes speak on the behalf of anybody because they have to justify the circumstances that they are in. And they have to throw everybody under the bus in order to like make themselves look like they are a person that are not in those circumstances. And this shit is crazy.
And what's important too is that if you are a single mother, I think by most states' laws, at least in Massachusetts, I can speak to, you have to, if you have zero income coming in, they will offer this to you. And if you do not accept it, they consider that to be a 51A, putting your child in danger of malnourishment. So they're going to offer it to you anyways, especially when you have a child, because they ask you all these questions. Ask any registered nurse. There's a battery of questions that they ask every single patient that comes in to see, do you have proper housing? Do you have income? How much schooling do you have? If not, because they're trying to gather enough data so they can provide the actual resources to you.
Because you're,
and if you're a man too. But yeah.
Big J, check for to super chat. I don't think that he's dumb or finished. It's just that this is what happens when you have to play this part in front of other people, and this is not your life. You look insane and you look crazy. But here's the other thing. The reason why they ask you these questions is because you have to have a minimum level of survivability for that child to survive. And if you don't have that, you're going to be locked up for child endangerment. That's what the actual things are for. So that way your ass won't be charged with child endangerment because you do not have the actual resources to take care of a child properly. Now, once you have all those things and you still keep messing up on a specific level, yes, then your kids are going into state-sanctioned child abuse, which is actually the foster care system. So yes, they give you all these things so that way you can have a minimum level of survivability. But you have to understand how the system works, and this is what the whole family planning thing is about. Look, I don't care where my taxes go. I don't want to pay for wars and all that stuff either. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to concentrate on one outlier based issue that I don't have control over in order to justify the position that I'm in. I'm just not going to do that.
And it's a part of a social contract. You know, it's a public service. So you're trying to better society by providing resources to everyone who need it the most. And so this idea that, well, I just don't want my tax dollars going to welfare, I don't know about that, bro. There's a lot of things that you're not arguing against, including how much money's going to Ukraine if you're a conservative. So
that's what I'm saying.
What's really going on right now? But
yeah, that was Michelle just crazy virgin. It's like, listen, I could see if he was a woman making these type of arguments on the behalf of other women, but you're a man. You shouldn't be overly concerned about this type of issues. The only thing you have to worry about is your own level of productivity and staying away from these actual women. That's the only thing that you have to worry about. How is all these conversations even happening? I just don't understand it.
Like, this, but like, moms don't glorious lives. It sucks. Being a single mom sucks. You can get all the fucking welfare in the world, but nobody's living like a queen on Section 8 housing.
But
right? But I'm just saying, I don't think people are choosing like, oh, like I'm gonna finally move out of my mom's house by having a kid and getting welfare. I don't think people are making choices like that. I think it might happen, and then people collect welfare afterwards.
No, they actually are, because you don't. Here's the thing, because this is what you're not getting. It's not a choice that they're making because it's the best choice in the sense that when I do this, I'm going to have an awesome life. You're already dealing with a group of people who are already at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder.
If this was true, why do Black women do abortions more than any other group of people? Shouldn't they be having the most children then to take advantage of all the welfare?
Because there's numerous reasons for that too. For one, you have some women that genuinely don't really want to have kids. They like the party lifestyle. The ones that do want to have those kids by a specific guy. Okay, because some guys are going to bring more benefits than others. Okay. When it comes to child support, there are chicks out here in the Black community, they'll get pregnant by a guy. If a chick gets pregnant by a guy that just enlisted in the military, she's not deleting that baby. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen because she knows that's definite child support. And look, this is not something that everybody talks about in polite society, but it's something that goes on a regular basis. I know this for a fact. I've had these experiences. Numerous men that I know have had these experiences. When I talked about this the other night on my show, there was a guy, Adam, that was telling me that, well, that's not true. I don't believe that. And then I literally had a Black woman come onto my show and say, yes, her family has even told her to do that because she's in her 20s. She doesn't have any children. And at one point she needed a place to stay or whatever. And she said that the women in her family was basically scolding her. You need to go out here and find a guy that you don't really like that, get pregnant by him so that you can get all of the benefits that we get. They do this. I know it sounds crazy, but
it does.
This is one of the things that the men in my culture have been constantly complaining about. And it's being treated like we're delusional.
Well, I don't know. I mean, to complain about it as a guy, just use birth control, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the smart guys out here, look, if you look at Black guys out here, the smart guys, they're not out here getting a bunch of women pregnant. They're not.
Well, but how are they getting pregnant?
Because you have, there's literally 3 guys in Tennessee right now that have a total of 86 children by 34 different women. There are guys out here that have 10 children by
Bro,
different women.
Mike,
Guys
Mike,
out
stop,
here, like
stop.
when you look at,
Mike.
you go look at.
Okay. You're putting this guy in a bad position. Anything that he says or agree to, he's going to look like the bad guy. Like, that's why you don't go on these shows bringing up all these points and points of view. Because you put the host in a bad position to, if he agrees with this, he look incredibly crazy. But you can't just come out here and say all of this stuff, man. At some point, yes. Like, dude, the expressions on that dude's face should tell you everything that you need to know about that. Like, you go from having a conversation about a specific thing to making all these complaints about things that are going on in the culture to a person that's not a part of it. This guy doesn't even know whether you're trolling or whether you're trying to get him to agree to some nonsense. And it's like, you gotta understand where you are, and you gotta have your points pretty sold up so that way you don't keep trying to go into angry man actual live stream mode on somebody else's podcast. You're gonna look crazy. Like, I guarantee you, if you were just to invite a random black woman up, she would saw this dude's head off. Ask him what the hell he's talking about.
Get the CDC stats. When it comes to the deadbeat dads, that actually represents a small percentage of the black male population. It's about 8%, right? So what's happening is you have a number of women that are basically having children with multiple guys, but it's a very small percentage of the male population. It's not all of us. So what's happening is you end up with these guys out here, and I can't name how many times I've heard this, and it's crazy. I didn't even know it was a reality. But I myself, I only have 3 children by one woman, right? So you have these guys out here that'll be like, yeah, my dad had 19 kids.
Why? Okay, then if women are choosing, if black women are choosing to get pregnant for the welfare and all that shit and child support, none of these women are getting child support then. If there's one guy knocking up like 30 fucking women, right? So why would they even do this? Why would they make these choices?
Because the way that system is structured, right? Even if you can't extract child support out of the guy, right? There are still numerous programs that you can get. I know a woman that had I think she has like 10 children. Habitat for Humanity gave her a house.
Yeah, but do you think that's norm? But that's not the norm, right?
It's not the norm.
That people are getting free houses for having kids in black communities? No, I don't think so.
That's not the norm. Okay. Look,
I'm curious.
like, bro. You trying to throw your own race under the bus in front of a white dude. What the fuck you expect me to do? Agree with you? Like, bro, what are you like? He doesn't have any opinion about what you're talking about because it's insane. What you're saying is crazy. He cannot agree with you.
No, and the thing is, the reaction on his face was a blue screen of death.
Yeah. The blue screen of death on the blue hair of death.
Right.
Jeez.
Yeah. Straight memory dump.
and actually, Shonda H, I will actually Shonda H. These dudes will do anything for attention. They'll do anything to get on a larger platform to make the same idiotic arguments that they make on their actual platforms themselves. They do this stuff for attention. These are full-time YouTubers. They have to YouTube to live, to breathe, to eat. It doesn't matter how stupid they look on whatever platform. They think looking stupid in front of, I think this was 9,500 people in this actual chat room. He didn't care about how he looked up there. He didn't care about whether or not he represented the manosphere. He was like, look at how many people was watching me burn my own credibility of the group of people I am to the ground. And look at how much money that I'm potentially going to make off of it in the future. That's the issue here.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
if we, and I'm not trying to like, I need like 52.8%. I don't need like an exact stat, but like how many women do you think in the Black community that get pregnant? How many of them, like what, like roughly, what percentage of them are just like looking for a welfare check? Like, just so I can get an idea of like where you think the scale is.
I could tell you how many are pregnant out of wedlock, which I think is a little above 70% But so far as their motive, that would be a little harder to pin down. Because I'm not saying that all of them. What I'm saying is that is a cultural trend. And the reason why it's a trend is because you have women that will school their daughters to do that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious because like I'm sure it's happened. I'm not gonna tell you it's never happened, but I'm just curious like where you think like do you think this is like 2% of the community, which would be pretty fucked up, or do you think it's like 50% of the community that's like super fucked up? Like yeah, I'm just curious what you think like the number is, and then I'll do research on it later. I'll try to look it up, I guess. I've
literally never thought about because where would you get a census for that? But
the issue is that like I guess the issue is that you're content to blame, or it feels like it. Maybe I'm getting a bad rating, you're correct me, but it feels like you're content to blame the majority of the Black community's problems on Black women. But then you're relying on a lot of like, I know a woman that told me this, I've got a friend that's done that. Like, and it's like, okay, but how do you know that this is representative of the Black community as a whole? Or how do you know that like in different towns or cities, like this is how it works everywhere? Like it seems like numbers or census data on that would be pretty important.
The reason why I know it is because every single time there's an issue with Section 8. Right now, recently they just had an issue with Section 8 where a lot of the landlords in Atlanta have stopped taking Section 8. So guess what? Black women are all across social media crying about it.
Well, but what does that show? I mean, like if you genuinely need assistance, of course you're going to cry about it, right?
But no, it's not. It's some that genuinely need the assistance, but it's a lot that continue to live on it. These are people that live on the system the majority of their life. They're not using it in the sense that they're supposed to use it for, where, oh, I'm down bad, I have some issues, let me use this so that I can get on my feet. They're not doing that. What they're doing is they're looking and finding loopholes to continue to be on that system perpetually. That's the problem.
If you have a kid,
how are you complaining to a white dude about people being on public assistance consistently? Like, what do you like? Like, nobody lobbies for their actual group of people to get less benefits from the government. Okay, you can dodge those group of women who actually do that. He was like, but these women are so unavoidable and the problem is so widespread. I can't do anything about it. It's like this dude is sitting here like, what is this dude talking about, man?
Like Section 8 housing or assistance for your child if you're a single mom and your kid turns like 3 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't see that like I don't see like single moms looking for assistance from the government as like a negative thing.
Here's the thing. Hold on 1 second. I'm not a patriarchy here. I'm gonna bring him up. I didn't just want to bring you feel like I'm ambushing you or whatever, but
yeah, no, I guess
that's what it is.
Piece of the conversation.
On, man. What's going on, man? Let me ask you a question, right? Destiny, you said.
Wait, Mike, stop here. Let's explain who this guy is. This is Patriarchy Strikes Back. The guy used to jump on Ramil's panel and kind of disrespect the shit out of men and try to just talk stuff to everybody and not really be a part of the conversation. Angry Man decided that he was going to tag in Patriarchy Strikes Back into this conversation to where he's losing badly. So he decided to bring up Patriarchy Strikes Back. So let's go from here.
I guess the failures on the Black community on Black women. Is that what you said? Can you refresh that for me?
Yeah, I don't think you can't like blame all the failures of the Black community on Black women. I don't think that's fair.
What about blaming the majority?
I don't think that's fair either, especially when it comes to child making, because it takes two to tango. It's men and women.
Correct, right? But the thing is, if you're telling me that in certain parts of the world, as you said, they outnumber men 3-1, why would you not then at least, I'm not saying blaming is going to do anything, but why would you not say that there's some responsibility for what it is that they're doing? Also,
because the question, wait, let me just answer that. Because the question is, why do they outnumber men 3-1? It's because a lot of the guys are getting locked up.
Okay, and I think that that is the man's fault as well, right?
Sure.
But in general, even outside of the men that are being locked up, there's 1 million more black women than there are black men, right? And in your earlier statements, you said that they were the backbone of the community. If you have a backbone of a community and the community is failing, then I think you have some ability to place responsibility on what you said that backbone was.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, they're not the backbone because women want to be the leaders of the black community, but that's essentially what's happened in a lot of these communities.
Tell that to the squad that women don't want to be the leaders of the black community. It looks, as you said before, they're doing better in school. They're certainly making all the steps to become those
they
leaders.
do, because they have to, because black men have failed them.
Okay.
Because black men are looking back to legislation from 30 years ago saying Biden put drugs in my car. I had to carry a gun. Like, all of these communities that are being policed have just as well, like we said earlier, there's more black women than black men in these communities. Black women aren't selling drugs. Black women aren't killing each other on the streets. Black women aren't, getting fucked with drugs like Biden made them to do it. So to say that black women are the fault because they're the backbones of these communities that are really rough to manage because black men have fallen on themselves so much. I just think it's fair to say that the problem is black women because they have to step up to try to manage these communities.
But it's, as you said before, it takes two to tango. So if you're why don't you share responsibility in that blame? I don't disagree with you, right? I personally think Biden's crime bill was very effective in terms of lowering crime. But what I'm saying is that if I go to a community and you make up the majority voter base, right? Also, another reason why I think that the blame should be at least somewhat at somebody's feet is because who's consuming most of that welfare spending?
Yeah, well, it would make sense that black women are because black men run from their families, right? So of course,
no,
but also real quick, when you say, I want to be really quick. Wait, you can answer that, and then
now they're gonna jump them BGS style. It's like, listen, man, you gotta choose which hill you want to die on. You just don't do this Iwo Jima shit by just inviting people up there to just hold the L with you, man. That's not how that works.
Imagine putting up the flag putting up the L like the flag.
The Iwo Jima L, man. What is going on here? You invited somebody on to help you lose the debate that you picked with this guy? Like both of y'all are complaining to a whole blue-haired white man about black women. Holy shit. Like, that dude, I'm telling you, man, that dude wants to pull his hair out. He wants to be like, am I really sitting here with two black American men complaining to me about their women and about what they choose and the outcomes that they have? What? What?
Instead of universal basic income, it's like universal basic L, UBL.
UBL? Universal basic L's, man.
It's gonna be really quick. I'm not gonna say black women are blameless. I'm just saying that the responsibility should be shared. It's probably a 50-50 thing. Because for every black man that stepped on a black woman after getting her pregnant, there's a black woman that fucked a black dude before getting married or deciding to use birth control, right? So I think there's equal blame there. But I wouldn't say that it's most of it goes on black women. I said there's 50-50.
Well, here's the thing. No, because you said something. We gotta clear that up. Black men do not run from their families. That is a total misnomer. And that is that is something that has been pushed for a very long time, and it is not accurate. As I stated before, when you go back to the 70s, you start to see black men leaving the households for numerous reasons. It wasn't just because they just decided, oh, you know what, I don't want to be a father. That's not true. They actually came out with a study, and the CDC numbers disproved that. So let's
wait. CDC numbers disproved what? The black household having single moms is not like a myth. No,
I didn't say that. What I'm talking about is nowadays black fathers are actually in their children's lives more than any other demographic, even if they're not in the household. So
no,
if we're talking
come on,
about,
that's not true.
Go look it up.
I have looked it up. I know exactly
CDC.
I know exactly the
CDC,
fucking PDF. Yeah. What they do is they do a whole bunch of like really clever number games to basically try to say that I remember reading this thing, the truth about Black fatherhood, and then it goes to stereotypes of Black fathers. What they try to say is that like of the fathers that are absent in their child's lives, Black fathers tend to be more involved than the other people that are uninvolved in their children's lives. But as a whole, for like whose fathers are more involved in their children's lives, the Black community is the worst. Now, of the ones that are uninvolved, maybe the uninvolved, or maybe the Black fathers that are out of the household are a bit better than like the white and the Asian and Indian Black, or the Indian fathers that are out of the household. But as a whole, well, wait, hold on. You can't tell me that like it's so. Wait. Let me just finish real quick. You can't tell me in one breath that I look around and I see all women are having children because I've got two friends that told me this for welfare. And then in the next breath say, well, I'm going to cite this like very esoteric analysis to prove that Black men are just as involved with their children as everybody else, when everybody in the United States knows that's not true.
Yes, I can, because look, okay, first of all, what everybody in the United States knows is true is a whole other story, especially considering the fact that you have an entire media system that has spent the past 70 years dogging Black men, which is another reason why we're talking so much shit nowadays. This is the whole reason that channels like mine exist, to speak truth to power and tell what's really going on, as opposed to the narrative that's being pushed that Black men are just sorry. First and foremost, it doesn't matter how many women are on welfare. It does not mean that that the fathers are not in their lives. I was in my child's life, and my kid's mother still went and got welfare. So that's not true.
I do think that when you're talking about fathers running out, right, I do think that you're not really taking note of the court system, and they really don't have a choice when 90% of custody is going to be awarded to the woman.
Yeah, but that's because the women are the ones taking care of the kids. Black fathers, because we this we're hold on. So let me just clearly state it. So you guys think that Black fathers are being kept out of their child's lives because of the courts?
I think there are some. Right?
Okay, wait, hold on. Some. When you say some, like 40% or 1%? I need you to quantify that for me.
Well, I can quantify that 90% of custody is awarded to women.
Okay, and I can quantify that less than 48% of Black women get child support because their baby daddies don't even pay it. So I'm asking you, when we have an epidemic of single mother Black families, do you think that most of those Black men are being kept out because of custody arguments with judges?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's delusional. That's delusional.
But when you look at the ratio, when you literally have a system that will award a woman custody 90% of the time, you can't say every single time it was the man that didn't want to be there. The men don't have a choice when you know if you go into something, you're going to lose 90% of the time.
The reason why women are awarded custody most of the time is because women are usually the ones taking care of the kids.
It's by choice.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Of course. Wait, hold on. You're telling me, let me hear that. You think that men and women in the Black community take care of children at home equally? That it's just as likely for the woman to work or the man to work, and both of them are just as likely to take care of the children.
What I'm saying is that the court system.
Let me say this. First of all, the women are not taking care of the children. Most of these children are wards of the state. They may as well be. The state is taking care of those children. The food stamps is feeding them. Section 8 in public housing is putting a roof over their head. These women are not doing anything except presiding over these children. Not to mention the fact that there's an epidemic in the Black community of children being abused. And if you go look up the stat on that, the majority of the time that they're being abused is when they're in the custody of their mothers. I just recently did a story about a mother who literally deleted her child. And when the police arrested her for it, she confessed. The reason why I did it is because she loved her daddy more. Literally, she confessed. This is not even my opinion.
Yeah, I can't argue with like the stories you give me. Like I can give you one story for every other story that you've got. I can't argue with that. If you think the majority of Black men aren't in their households of their children because of like judges, I don't like. You could never give that. No, there's no stat. There's no way you could ever swear. That's just insane.
What I can do is I can look at where custody is being awarded. I can look at where the welfare money is being distributed. right? I can look at, so for example, even what you said earlier about women getting houses, I can look up something as simple as Section 8 vouchers. You're making it seem like these women are just, you know, that they just had to do this hard job of taking care of their child. If it wasn't for Section 8 welfare, food stamps, and a court system, you don't know what would happen.
Well, yeah, because working and taking care of a kid at the same time is not possible. You need help. You can't do that as a single parent. So when you say, where is the welfare money going? Probably going to the people that have the child, which is going to be the mothers, of course. But like Section 8 and food stamps is not.
Who's giving the mother the child?
I mean, both of them are, right?
We just said that the court system 90% of the time gives the child to who?
Why do you think 90% of the time the mother is getting the child?
Because I think our court system has a bias towards giving children to women and ruling against men.
So
7-3 Supreme Court. How you explain that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. and no one ever covers the fact who's deciding to give these women kids. If you know this is how the system is, who's deciding to give these women kids? Who's deciding this? You mean the time when the women are asexual, they just meet a dude, go out, and all of a sudden they just become pregnant? Like the dudes are not even responsible for this at all? Like, what is going on here? It's like, okay, you go out, you get somebody pregnant, and then you outsource the decision of fairness to her. What? What's going on, man? Like, this is painful. But needed.
So
yeah. let's kind of skip ahead. Let's go right here.
Single mothers, they tend to look at their son as a meal ticket. Oh, he's going to grow up and go do this, or he's going to go out and go do this and help with the household because that's the little man of the house, right? So you got that going on. On the flip side of that, you got the girls growing up, going out here, getting into the party lifestyle, all of that different stuff, getting pregnant. Sometimes they don't even know who the damn father is. Why do you think you had the emergence of these goofy shows back in the 90s where you are not the father, all of that goofy stuff? There's a lot of stuff that factors into that.
Okay, so nothing you told me can be proven, right? There's no number, there's no data. It's just like your story. I can try to find some, I'm digging around to see, but like, so here's a couple of things that I found, right? This is talking specifically about like that 90% figure. That the certain men's rights groups have made the claim, and now the fucking page. Certain men's rights groups have made this claim. It seems obvious enough, given that it's that Chicago Tribune thing that I linked. It seems this fucking dog shit ass fucking thing. Hold on one second.
All right.
It's giving
Still
me.
Don't know what an NFT is, but we got you.
It's all right. I could tell. If you need me to tell you what an NFT is, I can explain.
That's my favorite episode with him, the NFT.
Jesus. Okay. Certain men's rights groups have repeatedly made this claim, okay, that mothers have an automatic advantage in custody cases. It seems obvious enough given that more than 90% of the children of divorced and single parents live with their mothers. But there's more to that statistic than meets the eye. Most divorcing or single fathers, roughly 90%, never ask for custody. In contested divorce and parentage custody cases, however, the father wins 60% of the time. So if that's true, that completely blows up your entire narrative.
Would you like me to ask? Would you like me to answer why that is?
Yeah, let me see that.
Because I can tell you why that is if you really want to know.
Yeah, because usually they don't go to court because they don't have the funds or whatnot. But go ahead.
They don't. Here's
wait, and single moms do have the funds to go to court?
Here's the thing. No, wait a minute. Here's the thing. Because I had this issue when I first got on YouTube in 2015. There was a guy that I used to deal with that would actually help guys go to court. And the problem he kept encountering is most guys did not want to go to court to fight for custody because they believed they would automatically lose.
But 60% win. Most fathers win when they contest.
Know that.
That is another fault of black men. That's more black men problems if they don't know that then.
Wait, hold on. Listen to what I'm saying. If you don't understand or educate themselves on what they can do in the court system. But you have to realize for black men cultural thing. All right. We can't get around that. Now
there's no way to get around that. Come on.
No, I'm saying we can't get around the fact that is a cultural thing they believe. Now, I constantly tell guys on my channel that you can go to court and win. And there are a lot of guys in the space that we're talking about who have went to court and won custody of their children. But most guys do not believe that they can do it. They believe that that's going to be a hard fight. In addition to the fact that the court system plays a lot of dirty tricks. A prime example is when a woman first goes to get child support. She goes to the court. She signs a affidavit. This affidavit states clearly that she has not received a single dollar from the named father, whoever she names as the father. She's saying that she's never seen a dollar from him. He's never given any support. Now, that initial court date, if the father is able to go to that court date and prove that he's given some money, then he'll win that case because she signed the affidavit. The problem is they don't serve fathers on that initial court date. And I know this because I went through it. You don't even know about that court date. If you're lucky enough to know about that court date, you can go and fight it. But what happens is you don't get served by a process server for that court date. Half the time, these fathers don't even know they're on child support until one day they look at their check and money's missing. And they're like, what's going on? Then they contact the child support division to find out what's going on. And it's like, oh, you owe child support. Then they give them then they say, okay, well, when did this happen? Oh, well, you
okay, hold on. I'm trying to, this sounds like completely not true because of my personal wait, real quick, because I'm just looking this up. So this is saying that like when you're doing like custody battles, you are right that the court won't serve the person, but that's because it's your responsibility. If you like, you're not going to have your wages garnished for child support when you were never served anything. There's no possible way that's true. And this is saying here that if the other parent is not served within 120 days, your complaint will be dismissed and you'll have to start all over.
You don't even know. Hold on. See, you don't know because you didn't go through it. Okay.
I can't argue against your story. I can only go by like what's true. What I can see, like you. Number one. Wait a minute. Number one. Here's the reality. You will get served papers after you owe child support. You'll get served, but the initial court date, you rarely ever get served those papers. They will not track you down, is what I'm saying. They will not track you down for you to come to that initial court date. And the reality is, this has happened to me a couple of times because I kept having the same issue where I'm like, okay, I'm taking care of my children, but then she goes to the court to do whatever. I don't get the initial paperwork. Then when I go to court, I have to explain this to the judge. I did not get the okay, here real quick, because we don't need the whole process explained. So I just want to understand this. You're telling me you have two people living together, everything is chill. One person could sneak off to court. They could file for sole custody, go back home to the other parent, and months and everything could pass, and that whole process can be done without service ever being given to the party whose custody is being contested against.
Yes. You can look. Here's the thing. They have what is called a TANF check, right? A woman can go and she can apply for a TANF check. And the reason why she's applying for this check is she's saying, I don't know who the father of my child is, right? Or the father of my child is not around. I don't know where he's at, right? So they say, okay, we'll give you.
I'm trying to like research this online. Everything is saying the opposite. Can anybody find like a source for this? Because I can't find anything of this. This sounds wild to me.
Is the equivalent of child support. And that money is stacked against the father in arrears. Now, once that year is up, that check literally stops and it converts into a child support case. He's never went to court. There are dudes that are in households with women that went and did this because they didn't know any better. And now the guy that is living in the house with the woman owes child support to the woman that's in the same household as him.
I'm just trying to find like any like external thing. I'm just curious on this.
Yo, the court system is screwed up, bro. When it comes to child support, it is screwed up and it is biased.
Can I just address one of the articles Destiny put in the chat or the private chat?
Yeah.
I think it was the Chicago Tribune. He was talking about the 60% of the time, the fathers, if they fight, they win. It mentions here that some of that 60% is a go for the fathers are most likely to seek custody when the mother is egregiously unfit or dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And then it leads on to, after that, many of the other cases result from the mother's financial inability to support the child.
Wait, either I'm lagging or he's
Of
lagging.
course,
I can't understand.
Related to the father's.
You have to Sway. You have to repeat it.
Which part? This last part?
Yeah,
you're going in and out.
Okay,
so it says how you was wrong because I just read it too. Yeah, you're wrong, Destiny.
What am I wrong on?
You're wrong for citing this, right? It's saying that the 60% is accounted by, that comes from people that are already married. In contested divorce custody cases, the father wins 60% of the time. We're not talking about cases where they're married.
No. The other comparison thing was uncontested. If 90% of children of divorced single parents are living with their moms, okay, and that's all uncontested because the dad never asked, well, then of course that has nothing to do with the courts. So that just goes to show that 90% of those time the children wanted to live with the mom, and the mom wanted to have the children.
The point that you just made from this Chicago Tribune thing was that women were awarded or men were awarded custody 60% of the time. Those are from divorce cases. Those are from cases where people have already been married.
I mean, if you're a conservative, why would that be an issue?
Why are you going through all this shit? Why are you going through all this stuff if you pick the right woman under the right circumstances? How are you going through these problems, man? What's going on, Renaissance, man? What's going on,
man? Hey, what's up, Mike? What's up, MOT? Man, have you got to the part where one of the guys thinks PPP is welfare?
Yeah, I think we skipped that part. But the thing is, I can only take so much of this. But the thing here is, you had brain damage at this point. You had three manosphere guys try to take on one liberal. None of them could take him down.
This was a first round knockout.
I mean, this was NATO going up against Russia.
I mean, this is like Baghdad Bob, in the background. It's like, Iraq, man. It's like, okay, so here's a problem. All of these things seem to be avoidable, and they have to throw everybody else under the bus to actually justify the position that they're in. I thought these were conservatives. Like, how are you going through all this liberal stuff if you are a conservative? How are you going through all this stuff?
The only thing that was conservative was the talking points. Like, I was listening to the beginning of this stream when Angry Man was talking. And I was like, if you blindfolded yourself and just listen to this guy, like, you would think he was almost like a white racist in some of the talking points he's coming up with, or if you replace black women with black people with some of this stuff, it was just like when he was making the whole argument about welfare and stuff like that. I'm like, dude. And the guy came at him saying, was talking about men who are going to jail, and he was bringing up the crime bill. I'm like, dude, do you not understand when you start with a framework that is rooted in just pure racism, it's going to get weaponized against you?
That sounds like an excellent reason not to have drugs on you in your possession. If you know they're going to be stopping people in high concentration, why on earth would you sell this type of materials, and why would you have these type of materials on you if you know they're going to be over policing in a specific area versus other areas? Like,
oh yeah, that's the conservative. That's the conservative point. Yeah. That's why I was like, why are conservatives crying about a crime bill?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it's like all this stuff sounds avoidable.
That's what I was trying to explain. Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain earlier. That the crime bill, Newt Gingrich and his ilk wanted to go further with the bill because they didn't think it went far enough, and so they wanted to go beyond everything that people complaining about now. They wanted to go way beyond that. They wanted
one strike. They wanted one strike. One strike.
Yeah,
that's what they wanted. One strike, jail forever. That's what they're playing with.
Yeah. Trump wanted the death penalty for drug dealers, but now they're crying about Biden and the crime bill. Okay.
Oh my god! And it's like,
and so they wanted a gulag state. Is essentially what they were calling for in the 90s, a complete gulag state. And these guys are like, oh well, 94 crime bill. Like you better be lucky you got that, because if you left it up to Republicans, you would have got way worse than that.
And that was a bipartisan thing, by the way. And it was like, they don't even understand Gingrich and the revolution. Like, this is what happens when you don't know anything about history. You just point out, oh, and Joe Biden and the 94 crime bill. They act like Joe Biden was the only person in Congress at the time. In both houses.
People supported that bill.
Yes, they did. And the numbers did go down. Why? These people were getting locked up in large amounts, which means it was overall less crime. But see, nobody concentrates on the criminals, the people who did the criminal activity. Let's skip over all that. If it wasn't for that meddling 94 crime bill, it's nuts.
And then the final thing to add insult to injury is Maxine Waters was one of the main people who spoke out against the 94 crime bill. And she's a liberal.
Exactly. Well, she's on the left. Yeah, she's on the left. Yeah. But I think the problem with these guys is that they only parakeet the 94 crime bill. They didn't actually go through it, and so they don't even understand what they're arguing against. So when Destiny made that point that it wasn't black women that put guns in black men's hands and drugs and stuff like that, he wanted to argue against that. Well, they had to do that. Well, would you like to have someone sell drugs to your kids?
And it's like, okay, so you have a justification for these things happening, but you don't want to deal with the actual consequences of the things happening. I don't know, man. I'm just confused, man. I'm just very, 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 very confused. Go on, Complex Design. Go on, man.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? I'm still a little under the weather. But hey, what was the Moynihan report ever brought up?
Not yet.
See, either that's where they lost.
Oh. Hey, what's up, Complex? It's been a while, man.
What's going on, man?
Yeah. Nah. They brought that. That was a liberal they were talking to. So if they brought that up, they might be like I said, this is already a 1-round knockout. So
see, I disagree, man. With the 2.0 talking points, man, you got to bring out the big guns, bro.
The Moynihan report. This dude didn't even know. They didn't even read it. Had to be brought up to him by Ramil. Like, that's not what it said. People, like, as soon as you brought up, or as soon as Ramil brought up that that's not what the Moynihan report said, you've never heard of that stuff in the manosphere after that. You never heard another word about it. So I'm like, look, if you want to defeat these guys, it's very easy. Invite them on. Dude, I would love to see a Destiny versus Edward Anderson. That dude would not only shit the bed, that dude would break dance in the shit that's on the bed.
Someone please set that up.
Yeah.
But the sad part was, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Angry Man was the one who wanted to debate him. Like, he was leaving the
show.
Angry Man was the one that went on Bernard Riley's, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And Bernard Riley passed that off like a halfback pitch to Angry Man. It was kind of like that lead option in college where the actual quarterback is running toward the sideline.
Oh, we're talking
that linebacker coming through.
We're talking about some old school flex bone. Yeah. Triple option.
I'm telling you, man, immediately handed off the Angry Man to let him get creamed by the actual linebacker.
I was trying to come up with different terms for the type of L, like co-op L's, shared L's. I was thinking also cloud-based L, right, where you can stick it up in the cloud. Anybody can go into the cloud and get it.
Okay. Wait, hold a second. All right, there's this Terrence guy that's back again, not the Terrence B that's normally here. Yes, we are siding with the blue-haired guy over Angry Man and crew. Yes, you just don't side with people because they're fucking black. You side with them because Yes, he was like, no, angry man's black. You gotta fucking like side with him.
But no, who? I'm curious. Has anyone tried to say the angry man won this debate? Because I listened to BGS.
Yeah, who are these people?
Even BGS said it was a loss for angry man, but it was just for money, so it doesn't matter. That was his words.
Well,
I didn't hear
somebody
anything.
Somebody asked if we support feminism. I don't think that has anything to do with this live stream or whoever said that in the actual chat. But it's like, listen, the point is, he wanted to smoke. He went up there, and then he brought other people on to share his L with him. I don't get that. It's kind of like stealing on somebody and getting your ass beat afterwards, man. Like the whole point of the sneak shot is so that way you can run the score up on the dude, but you don't steal on somebody and then get your ass beat. Like that's not how that works.
Oh my god. He's why I laugh, man. He's a clown. Went up there, unprepared, stupid as fuck. But then they come in there. What this thing really showed was this: you guys talking about going mainstream, really going prime time. Nah, bruh. Nah. You ain't ready. You're not ready, man. You guys are not ready. You're ill-equipped to debate anything. You're ill-equipped. These talking points are weak. When you really test it. This and the bluehead cat, he was just running around. Google. He was on Google half of the time on these guys, lighting them up on Google.
These dudes didn't even bother to show with any information.
Nah,
they just took the L to the face like it was nothing, man.
And really, I know a lot of us don't, say, hey, listen, this really wasn't us, but as if you were to take that a tad bit mainstream, this is kind of how brothers were looking out there. You looking weak, and then look like crybabies. It looked like they were just whining and crying about it. It was pitiful. It was pitiful. It was embarrassing, man. It was embarrassing.
They were talking to a whole dude about issues that he did not even run into or care about. And they was like, no, please listen to us. Correct our woman for us. And it's
but
what?
MOT, isn't this the failure of your isn't this the failure of your PhDs? Because they're supposed to be they're supposed to be educating their students. And I don't know if you were a teacher and you saw one of your students get creamed like that in an argument, wouldn't you kind of feel some sort of responsibility of like, hey, I should have taught this dude better?
Well, Renaissance man, I think like the part that really kind of like stuck out to me was there was an assumption, right? There was an assumption that the 2.0 talking points, right? That this blue-haired dude knew all this shit, right?
Yeah.
And even if he didn't know this stuff, like MOT said, there was no substantive information brought to support what they were saying. So it was just sort of like, well, first of all, and then right, non-sequential, blah 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 blah, right? And it was kind of like, dude was like literally trying to follow the shit. And then when he would give him a scenario where he's like, okay, if you're saying that the situation is this, then we're looking at either A, B, or C. Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And he's like, well, you didn't even address what I just said, right? And then it goes off into a whole other digression. That's what looked bad to me.
But he kept co-opting everything that he said as if it was his fault. Hey, go ahead, Mike. Yeah, but that's where we at, man. It's like, okay, you got to make your own points. Like a debate is about making your own points for your side of the argument. You can't just bring nothing. Then this guy turns around and say, okay, I disagree with that. Oh, okay, you made a good point there. No, make your point. Make your point. Bring your points to a debate.
Yeah, like you kept saying, we need to put a little TM after David Monroeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. It's just like, what? How the fuck if you're arguing against me and I just made that point, how could you then turn around and say that that's what you're saying?
I mean, it's meant for confusion. It's meant for confusion. Yeah. It's up.
Why though you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop you lying. Always lying to me. You lying so much. You making it hard for me.
Yeah, man. He made it hard for us, man, to watch that, bro. Like, bro, you can't speak on behalf of the manosphere, man. Like, bro, listen, keep the manosphere name out your mouth, bro. Nah, man.
Sure not
like,
us.
Oh hell no, man. Hey man, like we gotta do like a manosphere draft, man. Like shit, man. Like give us like I don't know, man. Like we gotta trade this dude, man. Like shit, like give us like MGTOW dictionary, man. No, we're gonna trade Angry Man to the white manosphere, man.
Nah, it's just crazy, man. See, the thing here, MOT, is that people think because he's a liberal that they had an easy victory walking into this, and they found out the hard way that when you don't do your homework, this is what happens. Bernard found out, they found out, and now the whole manosphere knows when you don't do your homework, this is what happens. You get mollywopped out here.
Hey, Mike, I was going to say, I've actually looked. I have to go back and watch it, though. This guy's actually debated Jesse Lee Peterson before as well.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Where was the same energy, though? Like, real shit. Where was the same energy?
You thought these dudes were going to bring some, like, that's what happens when you get too used to basking in your own points that you think that you're right about everything. Like, no, you just shut down the ability to talk to anyone else. And the dude's been here 7 years. You could have learned the history in 7 years. You think that he went back and studied any of those points after this live stream was over? No. The reason why I'm right, angry man. That's what it is. I don't have to read anything. I don't have to do anything but just show up and be angry. And whenever things get bad, I can just blame black women for stuff. It doesn't work, dude. It does not work. That's another thing. Paul is correct. He is willing to debate anyone on any topic. He's willing to do that. Actually, maybe I need to contact him and be like, look, man, what y'all think the manosphere is, that's not the manosphere, dude. These dudes have kind of gentrified the manosphere. These are full-time YouTubers wanted to gentrify the manosphere, to turn this stuff into something that it isn't. The actual things that need to be done around here don't require a full-time job from anybody. But these people have to go live to actually pay bills. So they have to wrap themselves in victimhood, man. That's not everybody around here doing that. Just isn't. Anyone got anything else?
You know, man, it's just, you know, my time around this piece, and, you know, I've been around shit. I mean, I've known y'all since I've been around, and we talking, what, 2016, right? So we're 2023, and it's just kind of crazy to see where it's kind of gone in a lot of respects, to where now you're losing debates to dudes with blue hair. Okay.
And I'm glad it was him. I'm glad it was him. Confident guy who knows how to debate topics and subjects. And it just shows you that this over-emotionalized way that you speak and blaming black women and shit, dude, it looks crazy. It looks crazy outside of here. If your ass was in line at like Kroger and you start talking about the gynocracy in line, like, bro, they call security. Get your ass up out of there, man. Get you evaluated, man. That's what they're going to do.
Hey, guy, talking about a guy not seeing Kroger.
Yeah,
all right, cool on Stu. Yeah, man. Well, hopefully he contact you back, Stu. Yeah, thanks for the $5 super chat. Yeah, he said he contacted him.
But
yeah, it's like we need to have more conversations about things that we can actually fix. Like these people are in messed up situations that they can't fix, that they can't live. Like everybody isn't in this child support hell, man. Everybody here, like most of these people in the space, don't even have kids, and it's like what these people need, and it's like this entertainment piece is just taking over to the point to where nobody wants to focus on anything. Man. It's crazy.
But MOT, what does this also say about what is it the what is the 14-point agenda or whatever that has been generated as well? Like, what does this say that someone has essentially taken some of those talking points and basically gotten obliterated in the debate, and this is still some blackmail agenda?
No, I mean, but he could have brought up some of those points in that debate, and it actually would have helped him. But everything else that he said would have subtracted from everything else he would have brought up there, because his actual thing was, you talk, then I agree with you, and then I take your points away from you, and then I use your points as if they're my points. So it wouldn't have worked because he didn't come in with substance. He came in to try to just be a part of the conversation when he could have just made his points better. So crazy.
No,
So
it's just
go ahead, Mike.
No, it's just a lesson that you know, you can't just skate by this and shoot from the hip. You know, just wake up in the morning. Let me just go debate this guy real quick. If you don't do your homework, these are the consequences that come from it. And now you're forever going to take this L because it's embedded in the space now. Into perpetuity. I've seen debates before where you can go either way, but in this instance, you were supposed to be ready, with the information quick enough that this guy doesn't have to ask you all these questions. You should have been you should have been easily able to challenge his talking points with cited information. And what happened was, like we see most 99% of the time in the manosphere and on that other channel, guys never come to the debate with any sort of substance and information and sources to be cited. They just come in here, shoot from the hip, anecdotal, and then the conversation is over. And then somehow they win the debate because of what? We don't really know how that voting system works over there. But what we do know in this instance is that this cat took a mean L. I don't even think you can come back from this. This is like worse than Sticky Fingers and what was that white guy in the celebrity boxing?
Oh, the celebrity boxing match. Oh shit! He took that L.
Yeah, he let it. I mean, you can replace Destiny with Machine Gun Kelly and get the same effect.
Yeah, man. Like that dude got ate up, man, and you have to realize that if you come to a debate unprepared, you will lose every time. You will be just like that guy. He was floundering throughout the whole discussion. He had to carry not only his side of the discussion, but he gave Angry Man most of his points that he provided during the discussion. He did that. And it's like, and you want to speak for the person of the space? Like, this is what I mean by choosing the people who speak for you. Like, you can't have people out here just trying to represent the space like that. That's crazy.
No. At the end of the day, when you start saying prepared, it just goes to show also that like Fox News, Newsmax, Twitter, Trump's social media site, like all of these things are not things that you can use as prep sources for debate. Like if you're going to actually debate something, you need to actually sit down and consult sources. Not listening to talking points that you hear. You say, "Oh, that sounds pretty good," and think you're going to walk into a debate prepared. Like this is exactly why this showed exactly what happens when someone who, like I said, watches Fox News all day, like actually has to walk in and have a debate with like a professor or someone substantive, and actually has done some reading and some research and understands basic critical thinking.
It was just painful to watch. But a lot of people, as somebody brought up earlier, they think that, look, I'm in front of 9,500 people in this chat, and I'm about to get this dude this manosphere work. And that dude was like, what manosphere? Oh, man. Like, I don't get it. And it's a cautionary tale. Please keep inviting these people on. Invite them on. Invite them on. Have a conversation about substantive things and run them out of all their talking points, so that way you can just pretty much destroy anything that they want to do going forward. I say that these people who claim that they're conservatives and all this kind of, hey man, just bring them on. Talk about what's going on. Bring them on. Make them be infamous. Look, you want a whole bunch of people looking at you? All right, man, it's going to be a whole bunch of people looking at you saying some crazy stuff. That's what they want in the end anyway. So.
Well, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and lay back down, man. I just needed to come up, man, just chop for a few minutes, because that just really.
Hold on a second, like somebody want to come up.
Okay.
Up there.
All right.
Hey, and let me share my screen real quick as well.
All right. I don't see it, but
yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it.
This is pretty much what happened in the debate.
Man, hey, what you talking about, man? I'm out here. Go, man. There you go.
Oh no!
Yes, he did.
Oh.
Blue hair, blue hair, blue hair,
No.
blue hair.
Oh shit!
I'm from New York. I'm from New York. Oh, 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 oh my God!
Wait a minute.
Oh,
man down.
He's laying
man down.
Man,
yes, he is.
Down.
Oh.
Man down.
Man down.
My man got mollywop. Look at him.
Oh,
doing the wop, man.
What's going on, Jay Shine, man? Talking that hard shit. That dude got rolled up. That dude got rolled up like an egg roll, man. That dude was doing the egg roll on the concrete, man.
Twisted up like an L.
He beat him like some country batter. Yo, this was
man.
This was the worst. Oh, damn, Mike, you wrong. Mike, you wrong for that, man. Oh,
listen, man. That dude got to leave the planet, man. That dude got to buy real estate in Alpha Centauri, man. That dude got to get out of here.
No, you know what, MOT, don't you just jump off this bitch. Just jump off the planet. Just get off.
Yeah, man,
leave.
Get out of here. Yeah, leave, man, leave. Strap yourself to the next rocket going towards the space station and just stay on that bitch. Yeah, man, you can't come back from that. What's going on, Stu? What's going on, Stu?
What's going on? Can y'all hear me real good?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I initially saw him when he came on Bernard Raleigh, and then I did look at the whole, at least his clip of what he did when it came to that whole angry man thing, and I looked at a couple of his stuff, and that's why I want to have him to come onto my platform in order to have a real intellectual conversation, because there was a lot of things that he said that I felt was a lot of word salad, and I wanna get a better understanding. I also see something that a lot of people don't see. Look at the people he has targeted as far as even having the conversation. And the problem is that his targeted audience that I'm looking at is the fact that I want to know what is his ultimate political agenda, because there were certain things that he would say, and I have to say that looking back from a political standpoint, I kind of see, and I'm gonna use the term loosely, I kind of see the game as opposed to advancement of really trying to get a conversation and get a better understanding of exactly what the perspective is, because he's only targeting certain groups and he's only targeting certain talking points. And so that's where my conversation with him is going to be at. You know, I'm not really there to represent a particular community. I'm just there to represent, you know, I want to understand you more in depth. What is the motive? And then let's have the real conversation. Because if you want to have a conversation, then, you know, we can have that conversation. I'm not here for talking points. I'm not here for, you know, tit for tat. You know, you're 35, I'm 55. Let's talk the history and then let's talk the solution. Because I don't see any of his progressive solutions. You can't say on one breath, you say, well, this is liberal, but then you're talking liberal, but you ain't never really met a real conservative. Or the people who you've met conservative, you understand? So what are we talking? Do you really understand conservatism? Do you really understand feminism? Do you really understand progressivism? Which the isms are you trying to represent?
But you have to understand, so you have to understand that he's not prepared to have a conversation with a real black conservative. Like, he's not going to have that conversation because most of these people who are quote unquote conservative, they don't know why they're conservative other than they don't like black women or the black outcomes in the environment. They're not historical, political conservatives. They're not.
They adhere to griftism too as well.
Yeah, so that's currently what we are. You know, you're not going to get a straight answer because, you know, we've been here 5-6 years and we haven't got a straight answer either. So remember, you know, these people got to go live to live, man. So I mean, you know, if you can get that out of them in a conversation, I'll be welcome to watch. But you have to understand that they use conservatism as a means of hiding away from engaging in any type of progress. Like they want to be like the Candace Owens style conservatism where they get to talk this culture nonsense. But when it comes down to actually talking about policy, they never do. Like, that's the problem.
Because, you know, for me, I'm not even out, because I even said it in the email. I want to just have a conversation. You know, I'm not here for debate, because to me, the arguments of debate is, you know, based on what platform you on, you know, some people are just not going to move. You know, if I came out one direction, you know, people are going to say I won. If he got his people, they're going to say he won. I just want to have the conversation. You know what I mean? And allow the people to hear the conversation and then dice it up from there without all of the entertainment aspects of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but we've been having those conversations for at least 15 to 20 years. It's not, I don't see anything new coming out of the conversation that hasn't already been heard before.
The thing is, has the people who are in today, and when I say the people of today, yeah, I could go back 15 years, I can go back 20 years, but the same people that was there 20 years ago, I'm not dealing with the same people now. Meaning, I'm not dealing with 20 and 30 something now that needs to hear that conversation coming from a different source, coming from a source that lives the lifestyle, and they have an example of what that living lifestyle is, if that makes sense.
What's the living lifestyle you're referring to,
though? No, he's natural conservative. He's natural.
No, I'm saying, what's the living lifestyle that he's referring to, though? Is it conservative? Is it progressive? What is it? What are we talking
conservative.
About? Okay.
See, you know what I'm saying? And when you're living the lifestyle, you don't even need to be name dropping because you're living it. You know what I'm saying? I kind of use conservatism the same way I use the theory of Christianity. If you're a Christian, I ain't got to keep saying I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. I'm living it. I have results. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to keep saying I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man. I'm living a manly lifestyle. Therefore, I have results of what it takes.
But Stu, I don't think he ever argued like against the efficiency or efficacy of conservatism. Matter of fact, I want to say that there was a part in the video where he actually tells Angry Man, well, you know where you can find conservative women? At church, right? He was kind of giving him insights as to where to find conservative women and all that type of stuff. So I think him just saying that, he did display some level of nuance that may not be his political leanings, so to speak, but he never negated the virtues of it, of conservative. At least I didn't hear it.
No, and that's why I say I want to have an intellectual conversation with him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not here to try to change his mind any type of way. You know what I'm saying? How he think is going to be how he thinks. And how he feels is going to be how he feels. I just want a better understanding directly from the source as opposed to an edited version, if that makes sense.
Well, here's
but you have to. You're good, Mike.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Leftist ideals, right? Because that's really what he ascribes himself to.
Right.
His leftist ideals are going to be radically different than Black people's leftist ideals. And so when he explains it to you, it's not grounded in anything actual. See, he can dress up, he can do the blue hair, he can do all of that, but he doesn't actually have to prove anything. And Black people's history in this country tells you where they stand. They don't have to explain anything. The history tells you where they are.
Well, see, here's the whole thing, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people don't even know what Black conservatism is. You understand what I'm saying? They don't understand the split, that you could be Black conservative and not Republican. You know, they don't understand the difference between a Black conservative and a white conservative. Those are two paradoxically different thinkings. And a lot of times what gets mingled is if you say I'm a Black conservative, they immediately go to the angle, or they immediately go to white conservatism, which is totally different. So again, you know, when and maybe I need to really do a stream about that, but I think that needs to be, first of all, rooted and understood, because I don't know if it was you, MOT, that said most Black people associate Black conservative with the Candace Owens type, the social conservatism. They have not really dealt with the whole mantra of conservatism, if I'm making sense.
So I mean, you are, but these people are like cosplaying whatever they're on. Like they like most of these people know, like most of the people who call themselves a conservative within this space, they've never discussed policy unless it's tied to the gender aspect. I mean, calling yourself a Black conservative was a way of saying I've divested from the political environment to have any type of results. Like that's what that has been used as, because they're okay with being a Black conservative just so long as they ain't got to get their hands dirty, just so long as they ain't got to organize for anything, just so long as they ain't got to do anything. Like they're okay with throwing away their vote. They're okay with all that.
That's if they vote at all.
Yeah.
And I want to address something with somebody named John Clark. Do you mind?
Go ahead.
Okay. John Clark says, Stu want to be S and B and E. I don't know what the heck that is.
Shame, blame, and explain. But go ahead. Yeah. Shame, blame, and explain. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. The bluehead liberal because he's hot right now. Well, let's put it like this, Mr. John Clark. First of all, I'm not shaming him because I've never said anything negative about the man. And I have nothing negative about him. I haven't said one thing. You cannot tell me one word where I said, oh, I'm shaming Destiny. I haven't shamed him. I don't see anything that I'm going to sit up there to shame him about. And I'm not trying to have a conversation to shame him. I'm trying to have an intellectual conversation. That's number one. Number two, let's play the game. If you want to say because he's hot right now, isn't that what a lot of people do when they come into this space? They come into the quote unquote Black space, grab the black knowledge, the black information, the black structure, and then next thing you know, they're blowing up, and yet your platform is stuck. So if you want to say that, sure, the man got over 600K right now. Yeah, I want to have that conversation with someone that got 600K. That's a political, social, and an intellectual move to be able to get in front of other voices and to be able to get in front of other things. Absolutely. So you think he went on Fresh and Fit all because I just want to go on Fresh and Fit? You don't think there's other agendas that's going on? I mean, so you're not making logical sense.
Well, I mean, Destiny is known for debating.
Right. Yeah. And he's debated big name people. So we're not even talking about a guy that just showed up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's debated bigger names than you know what I'm saying, any one of us.
Yeah, it's just that the reason why he took the debate probably is because of how he acted on Bernard Riley's show.
Right.
Every time somebody comes off acting that way, they are very slight on substance, or they don't know what they're talking about. Because people who are comfortable with themselves and have the information, they don't come off like that. They don't come off like that. Oh, you about to leave? Oh no, I mean, he's seen that clout about to leave, man, and he went up there and got destroyed. And what's the purpose of going up there to do that to yourself? Now you got to be seen by everybody else in the space after you're done with that. And you try to make everything about complaining about women and dumps. It's like, man, it didn't need to be that. It didn't need to be that. But I gotta get up out of here, man. I got something to do tomorrow morning. You got any last words, Uncle Stu?
No, I'm good, man. I just wanted to just chime in on that conversation and just try to get some feedback. But great stream, and I'll holler at you later.
All right, cool. All right. And that's for everybody else, man. At the end of the day, this was a description of the actual debate between Destiny and Angry Man. We had to show you where it came from Bernard Riley. And subsequently, Angry Man going on to Destiny's channel and bringing other people up to help him share his L. I don't know why he did that, but it did happen. So, I want to thank you guys for coming through. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're first time here. What? I don't know what you're talking about. You know I wouldn't disrespect. I don't. Did you say something before? Hold on a second. No. We cool, man. Don't worry about it, man. We're cool, man. All right. I want to make sure that everybody knows and understand that. Look, if you're going to debate somebody, and if you're going to represent a state that you're a part of, make sure that you're not personalizing the issue to the point to where people lose the actual control over what's being discussed. Because you can make yourself look really crazy really quick. And if you bring other people into it, and they just as lost as you are, you further confuse the issue. There are legitimate issues that are going on within this society. Legitimate issues. But if you're not taking a side and actually working toward any type of solution whatsoever, then it really doesn't make any sense to actually complain about it. Because that's when the actual venting becomes complaining, because you're not doing anything about the actual system itself. So I want to thank you guys for coming through. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you guys have a really nice rest of y'all day. Peace.